Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the Wednesday, February 17, 2016 council meeting to order. It's approximately 5:59 p.m. This evening, the invocation will be by Elder Chauncey Brown, pastor of William Chapel Free Will Baptist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Shelley, and the Police Explorers. Could you please all stand?
With our heads bowed, gracious God of the universe, we thank you for this day that you've allowed us to see that we haven't seen before. Thank you for this chance to come and again to govern over the affairs of your people. We pray, God, now for your presence to be in this place, that you would touch the hearts of those who are leading. We pray, God, now that you would give them the wisdom that Solomon asked for as he took on leadership. And it says, Father, just give me an understanding heart that I might be able to judge over your people fairly. We pray, God, now that you would give these, our councilmen and councilwomen and our mayor, an understanding heart to judge fairly over the affairs of the people in Homestead. We pray, God, now for the protection of all those who live in this area. I pray, God, now that we would always remember that you who give positions is you who give promotion. Pray, God, now that Homestead will be the place that you've called us to be. Protect us and keep us and surround us with your presence in this place on this day. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Mr. Shelley, and thank you, Honor Guard. Pastor Brown, Chauncey, thank you, sir. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Shelley? Here. Councilman Burgess? Here. Councilman Ross? Here. Councilman Williams?
Here.
Councilman Maldonado?
Here.
Vice Mayor Fairclough?
Here.
Mayor Porter?
Here. At this time, I'd like to ask three gentlemen to step to the microphone, please. First of all, we have Chief Assistant State Attorney of Administration Don Horn, Chief Criminal Investigative Division, Miami-Dade Police Department, Chief Hanlon, and third is Major Calvin James of Miami-Dade Homicide. Go ahead, Chief. You gentlemen wanted to give us an update on the situation we have here in Homestead?
First of all, my name is Chief Thomas Pat Hanlon of the Miami-Dade Police Department. I oversee the Criminal Investigation Division for the Miami-Dade Police Department, which covers our homicide, robbery, sexual battery, crime scene, and all of those factors. With me is Major Calvin James. He oversees our homicide unit. As far as the case, the individual, the police shooting that was involved, I can't speak on the specifics about the case. I can just give you as to how this process works. I've been with the department for 32 years, and ever since I've been with the department, we've handled the shootings, police-involved shootings for the city of Homestead and also their homicides. Basically what occurs the night of the incident, we bring out our homicide team. There's two state attorneys that actually come out to the scene at that time. As we go through the process of collecting evidence, statements, all that, the state attorneys are directly with us throughout the process. Upon the finishing of our investigation, we turn our results over to the state attorney's office. They review it. If they have some additional information they'd like us to investigate, we go out and do that. And then it's turned over to the state when they have it, and then they make their decision. And I know Chief Horn can talk about that from the state attorney's office. I can't speak about that process.
Mayor,
Mr. Williams?
I'm sorry, before they go, may I make a parliamentary inquiry of what is this we're talking about so that I'm clear?
This is in regard to the police-involved shooting that's been in question, and there's been some accusations about who's in charge of the investigation.
I got you.
And this is basically hopefully educating the public that watches this on some of the processes that we're involved in.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear so that
Yes, sir.
all parameters, that we're not talking in abstract, but,
No.
I understand they cannot address the particular case, but I want to have some kind of framework of what they're talking about.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
And good evening. My name is Don Horn. As indicated, I'm the Chief Assistant State Attorney for Administration in the State Attorney's Office. I'm here at the request of my boss, Captain Fernandez-Rundle, and in direct response to the Commissioner's comment, I'm actually going to give you some information in the abstract to kind of help you all better understand this process that doesn't just relate to this specific police shooting that we've been invited down here to speak about. In addition to my role as Chief Assistant State Attorney, one of the other titles I hold is I am the co-chair of our Police Shooting Review Committee. We have a committee in our office made up of very seasoned attorneys, and we review every police shooting closeout memo that comes through our office. Unfortunately, as you probably aware, with the 33 or 34 police departments we have in our county, we have a lot of police officers. Those officers have a lot of encounters with folks, and unfortunately, sometimes those encounters ends up in police shooting. More information than you need to know. I was sick going home on Monday, so I didn't go to work on yesterday. So yesterday I was going through some paperwork at the house and actually ran through an old newspaper article that I had not yet read, that I actually brought with me, that was dated January 24, 2016. I think it was a Sunday insert, and it actually talked about the police shootings that occurred back in 2015. There were 14 of them involving 6 different police agencies. Now, depending on which police agency is involved, that determines who's going to be doing the investigation with us. What do I mean by that? For forever now, I believe the county has been responsible for handling the investigation of police shootings in Homestead. Presently, as a result of memorandum of understanding that was entered into in January of 2015, their departments, meaning Miami-Dade Police Department, their police shootings are no longer handled by that department. They're now being handled by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. And for some other agencies, Miami Police Department and some other agencies, FDLE is now handling those investigations as an outside agency. And since you've got an outside agency, Miami-Dade Police Department, as relates to anything that happens with Homestead, they're responsible for doing those investigations. As was indicated, we have attorneys in our office who are on call 24/7. And when there's a police shooting anywhere in Miami-Dade County, be it local officer, federal officer, we are sending prosecutors out to that scene that night. Before I left my office today, I spoke with one of the prosecutors who responded that night to this scene. I spoke to him, and I believe he indicated to me that while at the scene, he even had a conversation with a woman who he believed to have been the mother of the decedent. Now, unfortunately, to do these investigations, there is a lot of material involved. There are a lot of things that are going to have to be done, and unfortunately, because of the number of cases that we have and a finite number of people both in our office and in their office to conduct these investigations, unfortunately, these things are not going to be done in 6 months. We have, in fact, a process where we hope that after we have received all of the information from the investigating agency, we hope the state attorney's office, that within 90 days of the receipt of all of the information, that we will be able to complete our investigation and submit our closeout memo. We are nowhere near that point in this case because it is too early. And again, that's the process that goes for every police shooting that occurs in this county. Once they complete their investigation, they turn the materials over to us. There may be additional things we want to do. There may be additional people we want to talk to. There may be additional tests we may want to do. We may want to do reenactments, and we've done this in other cases. And once we get through that process, the police shooting closeout memo is prepared by the two assistants who were on duty and responded to the call. It's reviewed by our committee, checked, and forwarded to the state attorney for her signature. And again, once that project gets done, any and all of the information in the investigative file is then available for public review, but that will not take place, and we won't be able to share any information regarding specifics of the case until and unless the case gets closed down.
So the point of this was to bring to the community the process that we're in this, that where we are in this process. There's a lot of information out, and it's not a lot of clarity on where we are in this. And so we, you know, it's to the benefit of the community to understand that it's in the process, it's in the hands of Miami-Dade County, it's in the hands of the state attorney's office. And once you're able to do your process and to complete all of your documentation, then you'll be able to give this community back some closure to the question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. And in specific cases, the state attorney has decided to come to forums like this and actually have the attorneys who responded to those scenes and prepared those memos to actually do a presentation, in addition to just issuing the memo, to explain to you what information was uncovered during the investigation, share with you our findings, and also share with you our legal conclusions, and to be available for information should the community, many members of the community have any questions relating to that. But those memos are public information, and once that comes out, we'll be glad to come down and share that information with you and your council.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams.
Thank you so much, Mayor, and thank you to the members of the State Attorney's Office and the Miami-Dade County Police Department. Let me ask a very simple question here. One is, well, questions. One is, are you saying we have an interlocal agreement that FDLE takes over shootings throughout Miami-Dade County that's involving police shootings? Is that what I heard you to say?
No, sir. There have been several MOUs that FDLE has entered into, and it's not the majority, but FDLE...
Well, I'm talking about specifically the Homestead.
Oh, no. FDLE is not involved in Homestead because there is already an outside agency that is involved. So it's not like the department investigating itself.
I understand. Second question is, are you saying, that I hear you correctly, you're saying that when the closeout memo is done, if invited, you're going to come back to a public body like this and go over your findings or your closeout? Is that what I'm understanding you to say?
If that is a request, we will be here. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. I know this has been a very arduous task for this to arrive here. So, and I know that you made reference that it can be done within 6 months or so, but I'm pretty sure we're all eager to find out what the truth and the findings are. So, thank you.
And if I may just give you one additional bit of information.
All right.
Once that closeout memo is reviewed and approved by the state attorney, she actually directs a letter to the chief of the department that's involved. So he will be contacted initially and will get a copy of that. And once that gets done, it becomes public information.
One more follow-up question since you said that. Mayor?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
When will the family be notified with the process after the closeout memo? Do you send anything to the family members to go over it with them in private, of what your findings are?
That is normally what the state attorney has done, and we have done that on a number of very high-profile cases, and I don't imagine there will be anything different here. And I believe I may have actually, myself or someone else with my office, might have had contact with family members at a prior community meeting within the last couple of months that was somewhere down here.
Right, well, no, my whole point
Yes.
of the questioning is
Yes,
that the family has asked, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the family, but from the meetings that they've come to, they've asked for, some type of closure to whatever the facts are, the truth.
Yes,
And I
sir.
think that's what I understood them to be.
Oh,
So what
yes.
I'm saying, as an agency, will you meet with the family to
Absolutely.
disclose what your findings are
Absolutely.
from your autonomous body?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And that's also part of our standard operating
That's part of
procedure.
your SOP?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
And as we've all sat up here as council members, and part of the challenge for us is there hasn't been a lot of communication from the department, our department, and it simply is because it's in the hands of your department and the state attorney's office. So from the community's point of view, we needed to have some update on just exactly where this is so that we don't sit here as elected officials and seem unresponsive to our community. And that was why I think it was good for the chief to invite you down so that we could get an update on this process, because it's a reoccurring question that comes up to us every council meeting, and we want to know as much as we can, but obviously there's certain things that we're not privy to and we're not going to be a part of until there's closure to the case. So that's the whole intent of asking you gentlemen to at least brief the community on where we are and let them know that it is in process, because that's been the question, and we haven't really been able to answer that appropriately. But I'm hoping that tonight the community has a better idea of where we are in this. So appreciate you gentlemen taking the time to come down and give us an update and going out of your way. And let us know, Chief, let all of the manager's office know as soon as we get some closure to this. Hopefully you've already, by that time, have met with the family too. Thank you, sir. Appreciate everyone coming down. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next item we're going to do is public comments, and I'd like to start out by saying that the comment section is for people to put comments forward to the staff and to the council, and really not let us get drawn into a lot of dialogue, because most of the time we're not prepared for public comment questions out of the blue. But we would definitely put them on record and be able to respond to whatever the questions are. Most of the time, we're just totally not prepared for the total response. And I will hold it to 3 minutes. I'm going to have to slap the gavel or close this out at 3 minutes, because we've got a lot of business to do. So at this time, if you'd like to speak, public comments, you're welcome to come to the microphone. Name and address for the record, please.
Kevin Sullivan, 1860 Southeast 6th Court, Homestead. Mr. Mayor, this was not part of what I was going to say, but I have to tell you, don't get too comfortable in that chair. I saw the mayor from the town of Roxabox in here earlier, and he did a magnificent job. So keep looking over your shoulder.
Tough act to follow.
Yes. Now on to my serious question here. I've spoke more than once in the past about changing our rules here so that we only have City of Homestead residents serving on any panel, any agency that does city business. I honestly think you're insulting the rest of the residents of this town, more than 60,000 of us, for not letting us have total access to every seat, every board, every commission. I've said it before, and I'm saying it again. And along the same line, I think it's about time you reinstate the fact that anybody serving on any of these boards goes through a background check. As you know, Mr. Mayor, before you actually got up there this time, we had somebody that was going to work with finances, and turned out that he's been a long sought-after Ponzi schemer. So that's just one. Let's do the right thing and take care of those two issues.
Thank you, sir.
Sharon Haxton, 16221 Southwest 287th Street. I'm here on behalf of the Military Affairs Committee. I have handed out these orange cards to everybody. Our goal is to try to get support for a new VA medical clinic down here in Homestead. We're hoping we can get it on the property where the BX Smart is currently there. And we're trying right now to get 10,000 cards signed. We would like to get them in this month so that Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen can take them up to the Congress floor the first week of March. If you will see, there's 3 sections on here that need to be signed. The top part is going to go to Congress. The second is going to be going to Senate, and the third is going to go to the governor. So our hope is that once we get this, the funding is supposedly already there, and we're just trying to get a location instead of all of our veterans from Monroe County and Dade County, South Dade, trying to go all the way up to Jackson. We would like them to be able to come down here instead of making that 2.5, 3-hour drive each way. So we're asking for support. Hopefully, maybe we can get the commission to go ahead and maybe give us a letter of support resolution that can accompany the cards when they go up to Congress. And anybody here, if you have the cards and haven't had a chance to fill them out and get them back to us, please leave them. We'll pick them up. And they'll be around town at Eco Fair and Chili Cook-Off, and you'll see us around. So hopefully churches and schools, everybody's getting involved in this. So we appreciate everybody's support.
Thank you.
And if you need a card now, raise your hand.
Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, sir. I would make a motion tonight that we come up with a resolution of support for this endeavor. If anybody else is in agreement, maybe we can start working on that.
I think that's clearly within the realm of you know, the leadership and the council have been very supportive of the military and the Air Force, and so we'll get something drafted and bring it before the council next meeting. Yes, sir.
You'll see on the seat beside you, or maybe on the seat you're sitting in, a program.
Excuse me, can we have your name and address for the record?
Name and address for the record, Ron. Your name and address for the record?
Yeah.
Put your name on the record.
You better?
Put your name and address on the record.
All right. Good. This is a program that's offered by the city of Homestead for the...
Tell them who you are.
Okay. My name is Ron Mongol. I work with the city of Homestead Energy. My company administers the program I'm going to describe to you in a minute. You'll see the flyer on the seat beside you. This is probably the best program I've ever seen of this type, and I've been doing this for about 25 years. The Homestead Energy charges $9.95 a month for the best lightning and surge protection program you could possibly buy. This is whole house protection. We put it on the main panel of your home, and it protects for all types of surges. You may have seen a program similar from Florida Power and Light. This program is far, far superior to that. When we come out and check your grounding system. They don't do that. The surge program will not work if the ground isn't good. We don't charge for checking the ground. If the ground's not good, we'll still fix it, and it's still only $9.95 a month to you. If you want to sign up for the program, you can do that by calling the number on the flyer. And what will happen is we'll come out, we'll talk to you, check the ground. If you want the program, we'll install the unit, and Homestead Energy will put it on your power bill. I'm not going to take any questions here today. I'll be in the back if you have any questions. But we spend a lot of time on a flyer, and we think it answers almost any of the questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shirley Solis, 18755 Southwest 272nd Street. And I'm here this evening to talk about something that is important to every single one of us sitting here. Every single one of us is part of a family, right? We have a community. And the reality about our society today is that we put so much time and involvement into everything else, into organizations, into businesses, into goals and vacations, but very little time invested in what is the most important foundation of our society, and that is the foundation of family. So today I'm standing here as a mother of 6 children. I am a resident to the Redlands. And most importantly, I'm a family catalyst. I've not been foreign of problems in my family. I grew up with a single mom in Little Havana, and I've seen the struggles of what parents go through today. I've had my own share of struggles. And so I decided about 4 years ago that this was going to be my passion, the passion of inspiring families, inspiring parents to become strong, to become united, and giving parents a very clear action plan of how they needed to raise children. So my foundations are very simple. I think we would all agree, if we have a vision for our children, if we're raising them up with strong character, if we're giving them a foundation of emotional growth and support, and creating an environment of growth at home, we can all succeed in raising children. So I wanted to give you a public invitation today. In this facility on Saturday, February 20th, from 9 in the morning to noon, you will have an opportunity for those of you that are parents or are working with families or committed to family. I will be doing a workshop. It's free to the community. Normally it would be $97, but I am doing this for several months complimentary so that parents and families and we can be investing in our community. So it'll be right across the hall. Any parent that wants to come, anyone that's invested in family, I would love to have you come. It'll be full of wonderful, powerful content, and it's completely free. So if you are, again, a parent who's committed, proactive, knows someone who needs help, and definitely wants to make a difference in this community towards families, I'd love to have you there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council, for giving us the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Rosemary Brackett. I'm a retired nurse practitioner, PhD, and this is my son, Anthony Brackett. Our address is 28501 Southwest 152nd Avenue, Homestead. Since Anthony is autistic, I will speak for us both. As concerned citizens, Anthony and I are troubled by the abuse of power, the false arrests, and the destruction of evidence within our police department, of which Anthony and I both are victims. I want you to bring this to your attention, that you could possibly work on correcting these serious problems. I have a copy of some documentation that I would like to give you and the audience so that they may begin to understand the transgressions of Officer Baguido. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tim Williams, and I used to reside here in the city, near the city of Homestead and in the city of Homestead. I'm here to make a kind of a counterpoint to Mr. Sullivan's comments earlier. Just want to remind the board, I'm sure you all, the city council, I'm sure you all know, the Planning and Zoning Board requires membership, and those members have to sometimes have certain qualifications and education backgrounds and certifications. So keep that in mind. Also, I'm sure you and the public all know that not just residents pay taxes in the city of Homestead. There are people who have their businesses and have had businesses in the city for years and years, fully invested in our community, whether they live in the edge of the city or in the outskirts of the city. So just please keep that in mind. Changing it to allow for only residents to serve in official capacity on appointed boards may limit the opportunity to have the best advice, and certainly the opinion of those people who make a contribution to the tax base should also be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Christina Green, and the address is 20165 Southwest 320th Street. I have sat here quietly through many of these meetings, listened to some of the comments of the people about what happened in Homestead. And I think it's about time that somebody stood up to be the voice of common sense and reason. And I would like to perhaps put another side of the comment to it. I am, and I always have been, a law-abiding citizen. I have worked all my life, all my adult life, and these are choices that I made in my life, choices that we all have to make in our lives. And I understand where the anger of the people and the signs come from. It comes from the grief of losing a loved one. But when someone chooses to include guns and violence in their lives, it sometimes has tragic consequences. And we all have the ability to make these choices, but we have to remember these choices define the kind of life that we lead. And sadly, with the way things are right now, the political climate we're in, nobody ever asks how the police officer is doing. And I'm here to tell you, it is absolutely devastating for that police officer. Nobody ever wants to be placed in that kind of situation. Nobody. And even particularly when it's followed by, I will say, some of the false and racial comments that come from this. And it's sad. It's very sad. But particularly when this officer is one of the most hardworking, dedicated, professional officers who from day one has been committed to be fair and very compassionate. And all of you know this. And as difficult as this is, and as sad as this is, but because of the commitment he's made to his career, I can stand here. And as sad as it is, I can stand here with honor to say that I'm the mother of that police officer. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, council and citizens. My name is Stephen McDuffie, 139 Southeast 36th Avenue. I'll have to say that we need to remember both sides, both law enforcement and families of lost ones. But on a lighter note, I would like to say to the council and to Mayor Porter, I saw the pictures for the City Hall moving forward. Great job on moving forward with the City Hall and making great work. I appreciate y'all. Also, thank you for the eco fair that's coming up. We look forward to that as a community. And we also look forward to the Homestead Relay for Life lockup. Hope you would all attend and enjoy it with us. I am the event lead for the Homestead Relay for Life this year, so we would like to partner with you guys at any point, even more individually if you want, and to move forward to help fight cancer and to end this scourge on our communities. But I just wanted to say we appreciate you over in Napa and the vineyards. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else at this time?
Hello, Honorable Mayor, Council. My name is Dr. James Eric McDonough. I live at 32320 Southwest 199th Avenue. I'm here speaking again tonight. You saw the lady who spoke before me, Miss Brackett. Everybody got a packet, and the audience did as well. I hope you would look at this and see the egregiousness that has been done by Officer Alejandro Murguido. I've given evidence to the council before, and I'll remind the council that Officer Alejandro Murguido was forced to resign from Hialeah Police Department. In his file, it shows he's made at least 6 false statements to supervisors, false statements to the state's attorney's office. He wrote 3 tickets without lawful authority that a sustained IA complaint said was a 3rd-degree felony for official misconduct. When he came to Homestead on his employment application, he said he used to smoke marijuana. Several months later, in his polygraph, he states he has never done illegal drugs ever in his life. All the evidence that you've been given here earlier and that tonight and earlier was given to Chief Roll in my meeting with Chief Roll in February 2014. Again, Chief Roll would like to say that I gave him no evidence, and next meeting I'll come and provide you with evidence that he committed perjury by giving false statements to the FDLE during a criminal investigation of a felony against him. For my next point, I'd just like to note, it seems that we're playing a little bit of shenanigans here. Maybe it's City Attorney Weiss, maybe it's Mr. Wolpin, maybe it's Samuel Zeskind. I'm not sure which attorney it is that's claiming attorney-client privilege for the public records request I filed, asking for who made the decision for the city to defend Merguido. Chief Roll and his head internal affairs, Detective Aquino, both refused to allow me to file a complaint stating he was acting as a private citizen off duty. Now that I've filed lawsuits against him in his individual capacity, I'm perplexed as to why Homestead is paying for his legal fees. Does the city of Homestead pay for, like, divorce attorneys for all their employees? Do y'all pay for all kinds of attorney fees for people acting outside of their duty? Again, I expect not to get any answers. Hopefully, Mayor Porter, you will give the lady speaking before me more respect and more consideration than what you've done for me. Thank you and have a good evening. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, Council, my name is William Tebow. I live at 2835 Fairways Drive. I stood before you in September of 2014 and voiced a lot of concerns. Actually, I was pretty angry about some things. Tonight, I wanted to bring a point that Agent Orange was supposed to be a safe product used in the Vietnam War. I was there on 2 tours of duty and was exposed to Agent Orange. And I have some health issues in regards to that. My neighbors and I are concerned that we have no idea what chemical was sprayed onto the golf course. We were told it was safe at a meeting where homeowners were briefed on the plan for the golf course. I would really like to know if you people have any information as to that chemical and whether or not there are any long-term consequences to being exposed to it. Because right now, everything is dead out there. The golf course is brown, and there are a lot of children that seem to find a way to play out there, and I'm concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Council. My name is Mustafa Dandashli. I represent the family of Edward Foster. I'm here on behalf of Goldberg and Rosen. And we're here for a variety of reasons today, but I think the most important reason that we're here is to give a voice to Edward when he can't give his own voice. Because the reality is, doesn't matter what the facts are, when you shoot somebody and you kill them, you don't just take away their life, you take away their voice. And this family is here today because they want answers. And I appreciate the council inviting down the state attorney to come speak. But quite frankly, that's not enough. Because we've submitted public records requests, we've asked for personnel files, we've asked for all sorts of things that are not confidential and are not privileged with the state attorney's investigation. These are things that have been requested in the past. I've listened to the talks that the Foster family has given in the past, and quite frankly, their concerns have not been answered. And I want to thank the pastor for giving the invocation in the beginning of our proceedings today. And one of the things that stuck out to me was that he said it's about keeping our community safe. Because the reality is, independent of the Foster family, we have to keep our community safe. And it's not just about this case, it's about all the cases. The state attorney himself today mentioned that there's been 14, 15 shootings of people in Miami-Dade County, and that's something that absolutely has to stop. So I'm going to again ask the council to please provide answers to this family for the things that they've asked for in public records request and at these meetings, because these things are not privileged, they're entitled to answers, and you owe it to this family and under the law to give them the answers that they're seeking. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Andrina Foster, I'm back again. In regards to Edward Foster, I want to speak before I go into my brother, Officer's Green mom, who came up here and spoke. 20 years on the force. What we know about 7 shootings, 4 murders. But you say he's a top of the line officer. I'm sorry. That doesn't happen like that. He's a cricket cop. He has to get off the streets. Last month when I came here, Mayor Porter, you informed us to get with the city manager in regards to the questions that can be answered. Instead, the city attorney contacted my lawyer and stated no answers. Also stated that I requested for the case file. I did not request for the case file. I requested for Officer Anthony's Green file. I understand what is pending of my brother's case cannot be in there, but I am allowed to get the public records of his previous file. I requested it. I did not request for the case file of Edward Foster. Let's get this clear. It's very clear. If there was some type of miscommunication, you could have went back into this video. It was clear as day. I requested for Officer's Green file. That was number 1. Number 2, the same question I've been asking since day 1. Is Officer Green back on patrol? Chief Rowe, when I asked you that question, your answer was he's still on the force. I did not ask that question. I asked, is he back on patrol? I still need that answer. There's so many answers that you guys are not answering. Why? What's the problem? Are we hiding things? What is it? We've asked questions over and over, month by month. We're not getting not one answer. Mayor Porter, once again, you advised them to give us the answers that we can get. They're not giving it to us. So what's the next step for us? I've already contacted FDLE. Okay? Miami-Dade Homicide, State Attorney. Everyone that you're bringing here and that you're telling us of, I've already contacted them. Okay? Now is the time for Homestead, the city of Homestead, to stop hiding things. Stop throwing things away. Give us the answers that we are entitled to. 7 months yesterday. Today makes 7 months and 1 day. My brother has been gone. And not one answer. 2 people from the city of Homestead Force gave us condolences. Only 2. And it was not the chief of police, who has a personal relationship with my mother. By the way, she's disgusted on how you're taking care of this case, Chief Rowe, if you want to know, which I'm sure you don't care. But at this time, we need answers. And we're not going anywhere until we receive our answers. Okay. And I tell you this month by month.
Thank you. Thank you. I know you'll be back. I know you promised to be back. Let's go on ahead we've got other comments.
Mayor, if
no
I may,
answers?
No.
Mayor, I just wanted to point out, and at the last meeting, I mean, obviously there are questions that cannot be answered. We understand that. But at the last meeting, the manager told the family they could reach out to him directly, and I'll repeat that. The family can reach out to the manager and also to me. I'll leave my information. Questions that can be answered will be answered. But with that being said, we asked our attorney to reach out to their attorney only to ensure that questions that had been asked were appropriately answered. And I want to say that my heart grieves what this family is going through, but my heart also grieves for this whole case. It's an open investigation. We're waiting for answers that the chief is not in a position to bring. My heart grieves for the family of the officer as well, which was apparent tonight, that many people are grieving. We will answer what we can. I will give you I'll give my information, and the same offer is on the table. But what the men and women in this police department do every day is something for which we're grateful, and we're also grateful for what our chief does. And this is just something that we all want to see an end to. And I just encourage the family to reach out, as we asked in the last meeting, to me or to the manager.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just add that as a courtesy, I had Eric Stetton, who's handling this case, reach out. I don't know if it was you, but an attorney representing the family, and ask him whether we had complied with, whether he had received a response to the public records request that he had made. And based upon that conversation, the attorney that Eric spoke with said he had received all the records, that there were no public records responses outstanding. But we did that voluntarily because we know that you wanted us to reach out to them. But fair is fair. If we're not doing something properly, then we should be held to task for it. But when we go out of our way to call and check to see whether a public records request has been responded to, I think to continue to criticize and say that you haven't received the public record, if there's I'm saying this to the attorney, if there's a public records request that you have made that has not been responded to, please call my office tomorrow morning and I will take care of it. But as far as I was concerned, from the conversation you had with Mr. Stetton, he told me that you believe that your requests have been responded to. Again, what Kate said, every question is not going to be answered here. I mean, we are in a different forum, but the city is going to be sued over this. And so, our job as the city attorney is to defend the city. That's our job, to defend the taxpayers from whatever this is. And that will be litigated in court. But it's also our response to try to be cooperative in terms of public records and other things. And if there's any public records requests that have not been responded to, if you call my office tomorrow, I will take care of them. And in terms of our call to the attorney was not in lieu of the offer that the manager made to answer any questions. It was in addition to the manager's offer to speak with you and to answer whatever questions that we could. So if we haven't done things appropriately, that's fine. But as far as I know, public records requests have been responded to the extent that we can.
Mr. Williams.
Yes, thank you so much, Mayor. And let me just understand one thing. Are you saying that you made a public records request for his file? What file are you making in reference to? You're saying his work employment file? What file are you making?
Officer Green's personnel file.
Personnel file. And you're saying you made that request in writing, or you over the phone? However, you made the request, you're saying.
Yes, sir.
And it's not yet been thus provided.
Correct.
How long ago was that?
I requested last month in the meeting. The attorney requested it months ago.
I don't want to give you an exact date and misrepresent it to you, but it's been quite a while since it's been requested. But we have not received it.
And I requested in the meeting last month, and they went to my attorney and stated that I requested for my brother's case file. That's incorrect. I requested for Officer Anthony Green personal file.
Listen, we can go around and around.
No, I'm just asking for clarity for my purpose, because what I don't want, and it's a very sensitive topic, man. I appreciate your, what you're doing to try and what I don't want to see is that if those requests are being asked, which are very legitimate requests, then I'm not sure why we have not responded. I don't know the factors of it, but I can speak from experience that any request that I've ever known, whether it's from the media or we're very timely in getting that. So I'm not sure why that, for this particular issue that you're raising, that is not being...
I'll reach out to the city attorney.
Would you do that so that we can talk apples to apples and not apples to oranges of what exactly?
We'll reiterate our request, and I appreciate your condolences. The reality is that a mother had to bury her son, and that's something that no mother ever wants to do. And we understand that there's certain things that are confidential as the investigation is ongoing, but there's certain things that are not. And those are certain things that this family is entitled to under the law. And it's the city's responsibility not just to protect its residents from a lawsuit, but it's the city's responsibility to make sure that it upholds the law and provides records when they're requested from a family.
And let me just put this on the record, because there was an organization that did reach out to me, Pulse, People United Leaders Struggle, and I did meet with them, and we met, and my understanding they have been in contact with representatives from your family to really find out what the problem is. And I met with them in my office months ago, so I'm not too sure exactly, all your entities in which your avenues you're using, but I know personally that I have tried to be accommodating to organizations' requests, whether it's personal or with a particular organization. And so as a sitting council person, we are limited in what we're even told. So we can't even do much by only what we're told, because at the end of the day, it is what it is as it relates to the ongoing investigation. But simple things that you're asking for, I don't think that is unreasonable to get. So hopefully tomorrow that this can be cleared up. I want you to get your answers, but from my perspective, I don't know more than anything that, what you all are getting. So hopefully tomorrow we'll find resolution in that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more thing, Mayor. Same question. Can I get an answer today? Is Officer Green back on patrol? The last time I asked that, Chief Rowe gave me an answer. He's still on the force. The question is he back on patrol?
The attorney just advised us that we're going to be sued over this case. So
But that question has nothing to do with the case. That has nothing to do with it.
The question
That's a question that can be answered.
The question was answered by the chief before. I'm assuming that the answer is still the same, Chief.
He didn't answer the question. When I asked, is he back on patrol? His answer was, he's still on the force. I didn't ask if he's on the force. We all know he's on the force. Is he on patrol? Is the question.
Mr. Attorney, we need advice. You tell us.
I think the chief answered the question.
Okay.
The question is he on patrol, not is he on the force? He answered he's on the force. Once again, the actual question is he still on patrol, not is he on the force. Of course, everyone knows he's on the force. He's an officer for Homestead Police Force. Everyone knows that. That was not the question from day one. I'm going to ask it again. The same question I've asked numerous of times. Chief Rowe, is Officer Anthony Green back on patrol? That is the question that the city attorney asked you to answer before, and your answer was he's still on the force. The question is he still on patrol? Can I please have an answer?
Richard, this is your job. Just tell us where we're going here, because this is litigation. This is
as I said before, the question has been answered. The chief answered the question the way he wanted to answer the question. I will tell you that to allow the chief to be beaten up like this for time and time and time is not right. It's not right. It's not right. Now, if somebody wants to do that, they can do it. But the point is, the chief answered the question the way he wanted to answer the question, and that's it.
But that was not the answer to the question, sir.
Mayor, you're allowing this to go on for an extended period of time.
Wait just a second. I mentioned in the beginning of this was not to be a discussion. And unfortunately, Manager,
Mayor,
you opened this up now. I've got to shut this down.
Mayor, I would suggest that, as suggested, and if the family would like to reach out to me or to the manager to ask whatever questions there are, as you mentioned, this is not a place for questions and answers, and we will answer the questions that we can. And we can follow up on that exact question.
Okay, so the time's up. They're not going to answer it. We're going to have to move forward. There's going to be two or three other gentlemen that are going to ask the same question. So.
Okay, I'm the sister again, and I'm just going to, Crystal Foster, I just came in, but let me just say this, but no disrespect, Mayor. If you watch the videos, the YouTube videos, you guys know the questions that we've been asking every council meeting. The disrespect about the chief being beaten up, quote unquote, the disrespect is having an officer continuously killing on these streets, and when the officer's under administrative leave, he's supposed to be off the streets. When you have an officer working as they under administrative leave of absence, that's disrespect. When you have your chief speaking to us in the manner he spoke to us October 18th at the 2015 council meeting, that's disrespect. He talks to us like he owes us. We lost our brother. Danny Cruz lost his life. Jason Williams lost his life. Edward Foster lost his life. Anthony Sinati lost his life. Stephen was shot and is in prison for Officer Green. It can go, the list goes on, and enough is enough. We're not gonna stop. We address the issue, and we've come a long way to come here. So the chief is not being beaten up. We're being beaten up because no one's reached out to us. When my brother was murdered, not one person came and showed condolences. Not one person. Chief Rowe is very close to my living brother. They traveled together, and there's no beating up because it was family at first. And the respect that they should have had was to contact the family and give us our condolences. And no one's done that. So we're hurting. We're being beaten up. Nobody else. When your brother gets killed in broad daylight, or your son, you'll be in the same position I'm in. And when you have a chief that talks to us in that manner, and the mayor and the councilman are up in front of him and not stopping and allowing him to stop addressing us to what he does, that's an issue. He's not being beaten up. We're being beaten up. Okay, this is deeper than anything, and we're not going to stop coming until we get our answers. And the answers is, and the respect is, to keep the officers off the streets from patrolling until the case is settled. It's ridiculous.
Okay. Thank you. Next, please.
Kim Hill from the Southwest Side. In the words of Goldman Powell, shame, 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 shame. It's a shame. This is Black History Month. Malcolm X once said that American democracy was a disguised hypocrisy. He said that African Americans were victimized by this particular hypocrisy, the democracy. He was saying that, hey, this is not an American dream, this is an American nightmare. Is this an American nightmare for the residents of Homestead when you have a democracy that sits up here and my leaders do not lead in this particular situation, but they come from behind. They lick their fingers and stick it up in the wind and try to find which way the momentum is going instead of leading. Harriet Tubman used to walk around and she would say, I'm looking for a real man that would stand up to this oppression, a real man. And she would walk and she would look at African American males and she would say, are you the one? Are you the one? Now I'm looking at you all and I'm asking, you all so-called leaders, are you the one? Are you the one, Mr. Maldonado, not to sit behind but to lead out front? Are you the one, Mr. Williams? Are you the one, Mr. Mayor, who sits in a mayor's seat where she'll be taking the lead on this? Mr. Shelley, with your legal expertise, are you the one? That's the question at this particular time. You know, this is crazy. Right now, I'm here making a demand for body cameras. I have the answer. The answer is dash cams and body cameras, which you all failed to even talk about. I've been here for 3 or 4 months. This is what democracy means to an African American. This is what it means. They're talking about the disdain that the chief has used, but really in a real democracy, my city manager would have never allowed him to speak in that particular way. My city mayor, if he represented me, would have never allowed him to speak in that particular way. However, since you all don't represent us, because the Southwest Side you don't have to pay attention to. We understand that, you know, our democracy means distributing $250,000 loans to politicians where they don't have to pay back. Our democracy means instead of building on the Southwest Side, we'll build a golf course on the affluent side. That's
Mayor,
what our
I'm going to
democracy
interject
means.
at this moment because y'all know.
Well, you want to interject? I should have swore I had 3 minutes.
I'm not
Once
going
again,
to
that's what
allow.
democracy means.
I'm not going to allow somebody to attack my character in the ups, and
You should
may
call
not.
it Mine
I'm sorry,
Harris,
but
sir.
Mayor, I'm
The Mine
not
Harris
going to
protect your
sit here
We're gonna
and
take a-
listen to
Can I have
this.
my minute? We're
gonna take a recess.
And I not say something. This is ridiculous.
This is ridiculous.
Did you or did you not recuse your? Did you or did you not recuse
We're going to
yourself
take a
from a
recess.
vote?
I'm not
Excuse
going
me?
I'm not going
Did you?
to.
Take a 5-minute recess.
I don't mind helping the family.
Did you or did you not?
Everybody
Did you or
out.
did you
Everybody out
not?
of here. Let's go.
I'm not going to listen to this guy.
5-minute recess. You still have 50 seconds left on your time if you'd like to speak, Mr. Hill. You're welcome to come back at this point, but we just need to take a little breath there. So 50 seconds left if you want to finish, or not, we're done. Okay, we're still in the public comments.
Mayor?
Yes, sir. Mr. Williams?
Can I take a point of personal privilege?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Let me first apologize to my colleagues and to the rest of the public. I don't apologize for what I said. I apologize for the heat of what was done, and so I sincerely apologize to all of you and to my colleagues for such a heated exchange. And so, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Appreciate it, and it was a tough situation there. Pastor.
Chauncey Brown, Grady Williams Chapel Free Will Baptist Church, 901 Southwest 6th Street. Some of the members of the church came tonight, and really, I sit in a very different seat, especially with what has happened tonight, having been the person who eulogized Mr. Foster and worked with the family, as well as having the opportunity to work with Chief Roll. And part of what I've continued to say is we have to understand from both points of view, and I've talked to the family and did much work with the chief, but our officers have a right to go home safe every night. They have a right to do what is fair for them. And so again, we come tonight, many members of the church and others are going to speak to support Chief Roll, support the officers of Homestead, support again our council people for what you're doing to be sensitive to the family, as well as be sensitive to the Foster family, understanding that they're hurting. Those who understand the grieving process understand that there's stages that you go through, the stages of sometimes resentment and hate and anger, and having to deal with that, as well as having to deal with denial. So we understand their grief, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we are working, supporting our officers, supporting Officer Green and what he has to do, what he has to deal with, the fact, again, of doing his job and doing it in a fair way, but knowing that everybody's not going to like what you do, just like what we do. No one likes everything that we do, but we do what we can do with the best conscience. So again, thank you to Chief Roll and to all of our officers for what they do, as well as thank you to the council for your support of our officers and our city and making sure that everyone is safe and fair in the city of Homestead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor. Okay, we're still in the public hearing. Anyone would like to come forward, you're welcome to speak at this time. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Mike Spence, 1240 North 5th Court. I'm here in support of our chief, Earl Rowe. He's part of our 5,000 Role Model Mentor Program, which you might understand our program is to mentor young men, all colors, and he's part of our program, and plus the fact I'm a mentor. I invited him to come to my school on Red Ribbon Day. He came out. Red Ribbon Day, you understand that, was how when one of the undercover agents was killed and one of our mentors was supposed to be here tonight, he would have been able to tell you the story of how Red Ribbon Week came. And Officer Chief Roll, my apology, came out, spoke to our young men, all in red, on Wednesdays. This is our dress, this is our tie in the middle school. Also, have one of the greatest men that my mentor is standing to my right, Mr. Conley.
I'm not a great guy, but what I would like to do on behalf of Chief Roll, I've known Chief Roll for approximately 25 years or so, council and mayor. A good man, very difficult seat to be in. Very, very difficult seat to be in, trying times. Understanding anytime someone loses a family member, I mean, it's tough. But it's also tough when you wake up every morning and charged with the responsibility of protecting a community, and things like this happen, and then you're on that fence, and you're trying to make sure that people of the public understand that you're charged with a greater responsibility, and your integrity is going to be questioned, and every decision you make is going to be questioned by the people in the public. But it's tough. I stand here on behalf of Chief Roll. I've been through some tough times. I could probably write the book on tough times, but it's difficult for the family, and my heart goes out to you all. My heart goes out to the officer that did the shooting. My heart goes out to the council and to the mayor, because this is a very, very difficult position to be in very difficult times. But please remember this: no officer wake up in the morning each morning and say, I'm going to put on my uniform and get in my squad car and go out and see who I can kill today. Things happen. And at that split decision, I mean, you only have seconds in order to be able to make a decision whether or not you pull that weapon and you fire that weapon, or do you holster, you keep that weapon holstered and lose your life. Very difficult. I sat back there, family, and debated whether or not I would stand up and say anything. But it would be unfair to Chief Roll if I sat back there and don't say anything, and knowing this man for the number of years that I know him. My heart hurts for you all. And you probably say, well, you don't even know the guy. I'm a man of principle.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
You all
Appreciate it
have a
very
great
much.
day. Thank you for
Thank you.
allowing me the opportunity to speak.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing at this time. Thank everyone for the discussion. We're going to move on with presentation on item number 5. Mr. Williams?
Mayor, I'm going to pull that for the next month.
All right, sir.
Because of time.
All right, sir. Thank you. Tab 2 is the consent agenda. Is there a motion? Move it. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Land use, public hearings, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, please be advised the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. Swearing in. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to either be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. And further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any of the items on this evening's agenda.
Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I missed, on tab 10, I spoke to Representative Trejo Kingman.
Hearing no others, at this time the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on the quasi-judicial items.
Please stand, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, please state your name, hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Thank you. You may be seated.
Tab 9.
Yes, tab 9 is the first reading of an ordinance for the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the rezoning request by RT Automotive LLC of an approximately 4.64 acre parcel from the restricted retail commercial B1 zoning district to the retail commercial B2 zoning district for property located at 111 South Homestead Boulevard is legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
Anything from staff, Mr. Cordino?
Sir, we recommend approval of this item. In order to build the car dealership, we need to have a B2 zoning district, and that's what we're making the change to. It's the land use and the zoning are compatible, so again, we're recommending approval.
All right, sir. Any questions from council, tab 9? I'll open up the public hearing at this time.
Mayor Porter, thank you for the opportunity to speak. Hugo Arza, offices at 701 Brickell Avenue. I'm joined by my colleague Alex Arias today, representing RT Automotive LLC. I know you're all familiar with the location of the property. I've put up a map for you, approximately 4.5 acre tract, as Mr. Cordino said, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank him and his staff for the work they've done with us and for their recommendation of approval this evening. There is, as you know, a proposed Hyundai car dealership for this site. And the first step this evening is to do the first reading to rezone the property from B1, the current business category, to B2. Specifically, automobile dealerships are allowed only in B2. So in order to move forward, hopefully next month with a site plan for your consideration and a second reading of the rezoning, we need to take this first step to rezone the property to B2 to allow the car dealership. Since the site plan is not before you this evening, I don't have a lot more to say on the rezoning. I'm happy to answer any questions. I am joined by our engineer today if you had any questions, but I suspect that you'll have more when you have the project in front of you in the near future. Thank you again for your consideration this evening.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone in the public like to speak for or against, you're welcome to at this time. Any final questions from council? I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Burgess.
Thank you. To our staff, and we just up there on the illustration in the corner there, we had that right away behind the property was vacated. Is that something we're going to need to look at here in the future with this property also? Just trying to get things in order. Where the alleyway, the 7-Eleven vacated the right of way or some stuff back in there?
I'll have to look at the site plan and determine if the right of way is sufficient. Typically, if it's existing right of way and both sides are dedicated in the first place, we wouldn't need to take any more. So that'll come out in the site plan.
Came to my mind as we start to work on this. I know we just did it with the other parcel of property.
We'll address that during the site planning portion of this.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Anything else? Is there a motion?
I move it, Mayor.
Is there a second? Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
No.
Mayor Porter?
Yes. Tab 10.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Yes, tab 10 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request by Trio Kingman LLC for a 12-month site plan approval extension for a 247-unit single-family residential subdivision on an approximately 77.3-acre parcel for property located near the southwest corner of Southwest 152nd Avenue and Southwest 320th Street, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Joe, this is just an extension. Everything's gone through. They just need more time.
Yes, sir. It's all been approved. The code says that they can have 2 one-year extensions. They have to apply for both that and then come to council, and that's what we're doing here.
Okay. Any questions from council on tab 10?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Got it. You said, Joe, this is they have 2, but this is the first one or the second one?
Yes, sir. First one.
Oh, okay. And do we know exactly, maybe this is to the applicant, what is the postponed for?
Alex Arias, offices at 701 Brickell Avenue. At this point, the main issue is just the lag time, unforeseen hindrances in the process. They have applied with Durham and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and as you know, a project of this magnitude, it's going to take some time to get it done.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. At this time, I'll open up the public hearing. Anyone is welcome to speak for or against this application, or the extension of this application. Close the public hearing. Any final comments? Is there a motion?
Move.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 11.
Yes, tab 11 and tab 12, Mayor, for the same project, site plan and T-plat. I can open those up, read those together. You can collectively have the public hearing and take a vote separately. So tab 11 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, considering the request by Connor and Gaskins Unlimited for tentative plat approval for an extended stay hotel on 2 parcels of property located between the Homestead Extension, the Florida Turnpike, and Southwest 152nd Avenue, and south of Southwest 308th Street, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. Tab 12 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan approval requested by Connor and Gaskins Unlimited for an approximately 52,496 square foot extended stay hotel on 2 parcels of property located between the Homestead Extension of the Florida Turnpike and Southwest 152nd Avenue and south of Southwest 308th Street, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Joe, anything from staff?
No, sir. Yes, sir. We recommend approval for both. We've evaluated up to the code, and they are compliant with our code, so recommending approval.
Any questions on tab 10 or 11 before I open up the public hearing? Mr. Williams?
Yes, yeah, this is, what brand is this? Is In Town Suites, is that the brand?
Yes, sir.
What particular chain is that with, or is it an independent?
Mr. Mayor, Jerry Proctor, 1450 Brickell Avenue, representing the applicants. In-Town Suites is a new brand, new to Florida. This is the inaugural effort in the entire state of Florida. This is a suite hotel. I will ask one of the representatives of the applicant to help me answer your question if I can at this point.
Please do.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. Andrew Tweeton, 6140 Hidden Oaks Lane. This is In-Town Suites. It's a product that's developed through Starwood Capital. It's another type of In-Town Suites product.
You say Starwood Capital? Is that
Starwood,
that's
Starwood.
The Western W?
Yeah, Starwood Capital. Yep. So different from Starwood. Starwood
Okay, gotcha.
Capital.
That's what I was trying to
Saying it has the same owner. So the same guy that developed and created Starwood is the same guy that owns Starwood Capital now.
Okay.
So he's putting all of his money and resources and time and effort into creating this new brand of in-town, uptown suites hotels throughout the country.
And how many rooms?
How many?
Rooms?
Oh, how many rooms? 127. So 127 rooms. This is one of 40 over the next 4 years that we'll be building.
One of what?
40.
1 of 40.
One of 40. In Homestead? All right, thank you, Mayor.
Yep.
Any other questions from council right now? Okay, this is a public hearing. I'll open up the public hearing. Anyone would like to speak for or against tab 11 or tab 12? You're welcome to come at this time. Seeing none.
Mr. Mayor, just a couple of
Let me just close the public hearing. No one's coming up.
All right.
Mr. Williams, did you want to say something?
Pardon me?
Let Jerry go first.
Okay.
Let's let Jerry go first. I do have something I would like to say, but let's see if Jerry has anything he needs to put
Okay.
on the record.
I didn't see you sneak up the back there.
All right, thank you. As Mr. Tweeton mentioned, this is a suite hotel. The property is at the Turnpike and Campbell, very visible but undeveloped property. We have the unanimous support of staff and your boards, and we have no objection to any of the comments that have been raised. This is, just for your information, this is a 4-story building, just one building, and we think it will fit very compatibly at that corner with that visibility, and we're anxious to get going with permitting. With that, with the indulgence of the mayor, I'll ask if Mr. Williams can speak. Mr. Williams is one of the current property owners. The hotel is the prospective purchasers, but we all get along. So with the mayor's indulgence, I'll ask if Mr. Williams can speak.
Go ahead, Mr. Williams.
Mr. Proctor, good evening, Mayor and Council. Mr. Proctor is correct. We do all get along, and this project is, I'm very pleased that these developers of this hotel brand, this new brand, is coming to Florida, and its first hotel is going to be here in Homestead. That's very exciting. As at least one of you know, we have been working on this project for a very long time. I want to remind the council of two things. First, this particular property, because we purchased it, and the reason that we purchased it was to create the opportunity to have a movie theater in Homestead. That's the only reason why we bought this property. There's no other reason. We did it to save a large, complex real estate transaction that involved about 6 different parcels of property. And of course, that's been wildly successful. I've attended movies at the Flagship Theater, and I know you're all happy that that happened. So this particular small piece of property has been an economic generator in Homestead for many years. The second thing I wanted to talk about is something that has been recently brought to my attention. Because this project went through an extended approval period, entitlement process, including a code change, we've kind of fallen behind a particular timeline. There was an increase to the county transportation fees that happened in January that increased this project's cost directly by $1,200 per room. So that's, as you can tell from 127 rooms, that's a significant number. This project will generate 50 jobs. All of those jobs will meet the targeted minimum wage criteria required for community development block grant funding. And I had a brief conversation with staff, one of several I've had over the past 5 years, and they assure me, and I'm confident that there is a way to entitle this property to compete for and win community development block grant funding. We have other criteria or other issues that are specific to this site that have to do with infrastructure that are also expensive and unique to the property that would also qualify for traditional community development block grant funding. I think that the process is in your, as a matter of fact, I know the process is in your hands. You can choose to create an opportunity for this project to receive a very small contribution that will make a very significant difference. And I'll invite these guys to speak if they want to address that specifically. I'll remind you there were already existing extended stay hotels, and that if had it not been for that one thing, we certainly could have been finished in advance of that particular fee. It's a great economic generator. I'm happy to be at this point in the process. We're looking for your approval tonight and your support for some very simple things, very specific things you can do to make this project eligible for CDBG grant funding. Thank you. Mr. Williams? Do you have any questions?
Yes. Well, thank you, Mayor. Not any questions, Mr. Williams, but I don't know if you're aware, but the city is also trying to use the same dollars that you're trying to use. So we'll be competing against ourselves. So I don't know how that will work in your phase. I don't know. I'm not sure if you're aware that we have taken on that plan or idea. So don't want you to be hopeful that that's because the city is looking to use the same resources in which you're talking about. My other comment is that I'm very happy to see a project like this, and then I'm very eager to hear the type of jobs that we'll be bringing to the community. How many of those are continuation jobs after construction?
That's the number I provided, 50.
50 after construction?
50 of those jobs are jobs that will continue. Full-time jobs for employees at, shifts and whatnot. That's not counting the construction jobs. The economic impact is more significant because of the construction jobs. And
I'm more concerned about
permanent jobs.
Permanent jobs aspect of it.
50.
And I know this is probably not related, but since you opened up the door for this conversation, what is the anticipated practice of hiring locals within that framework?
Well, I'm familiar with hotel development in other places, and I can tell you that all of those jobs are local jobs. It's not reasonable for an employee, to work a full shift to drive from other places. Mayor Porter shared with me earlier. So there are issues with the transportation system, in Miami-Dade County, and it needs to be improved. So maybe regional is a better description, but local would be the word I would use to describe those jobs. It's just not reasonable for them to live somewhere else.
I understand. So you all are the owners that will be operating the day-to-day, or you all are using another, or are you just the builders? What is your capacity?
We are the developer, so we're the owner's rep for the property. So we develop and build the property itself.
You develop and build?
Yep. So the owner, In-Town Suites, will manage the property, and that, we're very involved with them on the management and the setting up and everything like that.
And what is your level of commitment to perhaps Homestead besides putting a whole, but for hiring those persons?
Oh, it's all local.
It's all, when you say, within the framework of Homestead.
Yeah.
Not Perrine, not Naranja. I'm saying inside the city limits of Homestead.
It can definitely, they can make every effort to hire and put their first foot forward to hire Homestead.
And what has been you all's philosophy? You all have built other hotels, is that right?
Yep.
And what has been you all's company policy regarding hiring locals for something of this sort?
We strive to hire local, because when we hire local, we get a better value. And because people that are local care about the product more, and they want to see it happen.
One more other question. I'm of the very much so of the opinion now that I heard Mr. Williams say minimum wage. What is the average dollar amount that you all pay your employees? Because you said minimum wage. Minimum wage in the state of Florida is 8.
I was trying to use a term that's specific to criteria related to the community development block grant funding process. There's a process where you apply for when the opportunity to receive the funds, and then you go through a employment verification process at intervals after you receive the money. And the money has to be returned if you don't meet those criteria. And one of the criteria is the I forget the word, but it's an average wage number.
Living wage.
I'm not sure.
You don't want to say staff, living wage?
Your finance staff, it's a specific term specific to that process. But so, it's an average wage based on each region of the state. So each region of the state has a different number for that. Back in, 2010 or 2011, when we had an earlier hotel operator, we verified that those job numbers and the pay scale for each position met that criteria. And this would as well.
Are you confident it is above the minimum wage?
I can answer that.
It's above minimum wage.
What is your average?
Well, we don't operate the hotel.
I understand.
But the employees there are above, they are above minimum wage. So I can't speak exactly to the amount of that, but you have, from the assistant managers to the managers to the maintenance staff to the property maintenance staff, they're all salaried and above minimum wage.
I'm really concerned. I think, Mayor, I'm sorry, one more statement I'd like to make, or two more. The reason why I'm asking you all this, because I think it's very important not only that we deliver a great product, in which I see that you're all trying to do, but the local residents of Homestead that may not be able to drive fur to get the higher wage, that there is within your structure that you will pay beyond what the state of Florida has required, of minimum wage. And I think what I'm really hitting at here is that I want to know that the property in Suites in town provides that kind of opportunity for, number one, for our residents, and number two, that it's economically as important. As you all are aware, the dollar is very crucial to circulate in our economy locally, that supports schools and support public safety and supports all of the things that we are really passionate about. And so I hope, hopefully, the next time you come back, that you'll be able to give me what is the average amount of wage of what you will pay your housekeepers, your, whatever, other job descriptions that you all may have. It's just for my personal.
Let me reassure you this, that the only way that the project succeeds and that the overall development and overall continued success of the property works is that the people that work there are maintained there. So turnover rate is not good for the company. Turnover rate is not good for the hotel. And the only way to keep your employees there is to keep them happy, where they know they're getting paid for what the service they're providing, and is to keep them well paid for that. Because if you're paying them the cheapest wage you can, you're going to have a high turnover rate, because they're not going to want to stay there. They're going to want to move on somewhere else. They're not going to be happy. So what we strive for is to keep those employees there, because that makes the project successful.
And my last statement, Mayor, if you don't mind, I believe that your project is, we're going to move forward. But what I would like also you to consider, I don't know what if you can provide me a kind of your company. I don't know much about your company and what you do and all of that. I'd like to have more information if you can, besides what we're doing tonight. And also, if you could, do you all provide benefits for employees?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Health insurance,
yep.
Options of retirement or what have you. So and it's going forward, it's not just you all, it's every applicant that I'm going to be asking these questions. So you just happen to be the first tonight.
Oh, fun.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Williams, if I
Yes.
could, I'm going to bring you a sheet that has some information specific to Uptown Suites.
Okay.
It's just a flyer, gives you some information about the company
Sure.
that you've
You
asked
just
for.
give that to
The
me.
other thing is, keep in mind, these guys are the developers,
I
not the
understand.
operators.
Listen,
And last,
listen what I'm saying. I'm not knocking your project. I'm not saying, I'm just stating exactly what I like to see. Hopefully, with that in mind, you all will be able to frame that to meet what my concerns are. As I said
Yes, sir.
before, I think it's a beautiful project. I think it's a great project, and I'm in support of it. I'm just asking about the other side. I understand your roles as developers, but you all could forward that message of what my concerns are of that. But
when you frame
just, you could submit it for time while you can just submit it to the clerk and they'll give it to me. Oh, you can just call me.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. I'm going to close the public hearing at this time, if I haven't already. Close it again. Is there a motion on tab 11?
I move it, Mayor.
Moved and seconded. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado? Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Motion on 12. Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Yes.
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado? Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Tab 13.
Yes, tab 13 is a final order of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting a certificate of use requested by Efren N. Brothers USA, Inc., Stop and Shop Food Market, to allow the sale of beer and wine for off-premise consumption in conjunction with the operation of a grocery store located at 395 Northwest 14th Avenue, Unit 395, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Joe's report from staff.
Yes, sir, we're recommending approval. This is a property they're going to sell beer and wine for off-premises consumption. We ran it through our section of the code for these types of things. It conforms, and so we're recommending approval.
Questions from council on tab 13? Mr. Williams?
Yes. I was trying to find in this tab, do we have any public safety data within the surrounding area of this property as relates to public consumption or any marks of, I know that you all send this process through the police department, but I don't see it, the notes or anything provided in my packet.
We received no negative comments from the DRC process from the police department.
And this store is already in existence, or they are?
It's under construction right now.
So they're fine through the process?
Correct.
And Mr. Cordino, how many other stores do we have within that vicinity that is selling beer and wine?
I don't know that. I don't know that number. I'd have to go check.
All right. This is obviously part of their business model of sorts, right? I'm sorry, what's your name, sir?
My name is Mazharul Islam.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you. You're building this is a new...
Actually, I'm not the builder. I'm just renting one space to be a grocery store.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, I'm not the builder. I'm just renting one corner space.
Oh, you're renting
to open
this
a store. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Do you operate any other stores?
Yeah, I have some stores here.
Are they in Homestead?
Yeah, you know the Citgo right here, 304 Street and Calm Avenue. I'm one of the partner over here.
The single?
Yeah, the Citgo right there. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. And how far is that from your location now? From what you're getting ready to do? Are you moving that, or you just?
No, Citgo.
You're gonna
I'm
add?
opening another new location. Yeah, that's a new one.
How far is it? It's the distance, travel, time.
From the neighborhood or from this one?
From your current store that you own
Okay.
to where you...
It's like more than a mile.
A mile?
More than 1 mile, like 1.5. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions from council? I'll open up the public hearing at this time. Anyone who would like to speak for or against this application, you're welcome to at this time. Mr. McDuffie?
Thank you, Mayor Porter. For tab 13, I'd like to ask basically same question as Councilor Councilman Jimmy Williams. Is there a way we can find out the amount of licensed places to sell for alcohol in the area? Say 3-5 block radius. That would be my question. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Cordino, this is an industrial zone. So if you look to the south of this, it's a rock selling nursery, selling kind of a Redland. You go down to Maury. If you go on Redland Road south to Maury, you've got some service stations on those corners of Maury and Redland Road that I'm sure they have the ability to sell probably beer and wine. So again, those are service stations, not necessarily a grocery store. I guess he's looking for a grocery store.
This is more like a convenience store, stop and shop type of thing, just like you would walk into any convenience store and they would have a cooler with the beer, wine, soda.
Very similar to the gas station, only minus the gas.
Pretty much so, yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Burgess? Mr. Shelley, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I have similar questions, I guess, and maybe even concerns as Councilman Williams raised. And, I would like an opportunity maybe to have a chance to discuss this with staff a little bit more in detail. So I wouldn't mind a deferral on it, just to kind of further clarify, because I have some of the same concerns about the industrial zoning area, about the location of the additional gas stations, and just kind of getting a little more information, if possible. So that's just something I would maybe prefer to ask if you guys are interested in that as well.
Sure. This just one comment. This is a grocery store. In the code, there are no location restrictions for the store like the radius that we typically have for the other types of stores that do this. So that's not one of the criteria that we examined on this one.
Anything else, Mr. Shelley?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear his response, man. Could you have him repeat?
What did you say?
Because it's a grocery store, the code doesn't have a location restriction around it, meaning it doesn't have to be a certain distance from sensitive receptors. And so that wasn't a criteria of this evaluation. I just wanted to be clear on that.
Okay, Mr. Williams?
Yes. Well, since you opened up that can, let me ask you this. So when they apply, persons apply they applied as a grocery store, not a convenience store. Is there a difference in the code as is it written as a convenience store versus a grocery store, or is it a blanket?
It's really the same. The code is section 3-6, and what it says in detail is that the location restrictions for the sale of alcoholic beverage shall not apply to supermarkets, convenience stores, drugstores, or similar establishments that sell alcoholic beverages in-house or as an ancillary use or accessory use in sealed containers for consumption off the premises. So the location restrictions are more for bars and the restaurants and those types of things than they are for the convenience store or grocery store.
Right, but I'm saying, is convenience store and the grocery store one and the same?
Yes,
it's
sir.
synonymous in the code?
Yes, sir.
That dictates that. Okay, my other concern then, I know I've always been consistent on this. I just think our places of, and I understand what the mayor has said, but we have a plethora of convenience stores. I know we give a lot of choices of where we can go. We have a plethora of these type of markets, and as I look at what the value that it adds to the community, I'm trying to figure out, and he just said that he has a store that's maybe a mile and a half or so. One of my biggest concerns that I have a problem with within the Southwest area is the consumption, though it says often, consumption, it's, not legal to have consumption on their property or however, but it doesn't always work like that. And so I'm just really concerned, about the number of stores that we are allowing to do this, because I can just be frank and real. At this point in time, we have a lot of lottering and different things like that, and I know some stores posted on their businesses, but sometimes it's just not enforced. The property owners don't enforce it. As a matter of fact, sometimes they, kind of not so much endorse it, but they don't kind of enforce the law as it is provided. And I know they're in business to make money. So I just really want to caution that, that these number of stores that are opening up, I'm not going to be supportive of your application, but I wish you the best in your endeavors in business. But I just don't see what the need is at this point, and it's causing a lot of property values, to go to. Nobody wants to move within the neighborhood. I understand where it's located, but I'm just saying, for the record, that I think perhaps we may need to look at the code to really kind of define the grocery store versus a convenience store and what that looks like. So thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Mr. Shelley?
Yeah, I guess be more clear in my last comment. That is, the reason I said that, I don't know what the majority of council's position is on this particular issue, but I know we had a similar one come before us not too long ago, in which it was located in a similar location, and there wasn't a whole lot of clear discussion on that, and as a result, we voted against it, and it came back to us, and there was no evidence on the record to support our decision. I don't know what this council's position is tonight. I share similar concerns, Councilman Williams, and with the information I currently have before me, will not be supporting it. So I just wanted to kind of see that if the rest of the council has a similar position, then that's why I recommend a deferral, so we can all get more information to be clear. On the other hand,
Is that your motion?
Yeah, I have a motion to defer.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Motion to defer for more information.
Yes.
Give this a chance to live before it gets killed, and get a broader picture around. I mean, Mr. Williams is very clear on his position, and I respect that. And we've got to just see, take a bigger swipe at this and let us see what's all around this. But there's a motion to defer, Mr. Williams?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Also, can I make this statement, or actually this question? Number one, and this is not in reflection of the applicant. The last one that my colleague has made reference to, when he said we had no evidence, that particular store was located within the Southwest area?
Yes.
Yes, it was directly north of this, not in the Southwest Neighborhood Master Plan, but Southwest Neighborhood.
That wasn't the one that was on Lucy?
No.
No, this is a different one.
It's a different one.
Where do you know that one?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact address, but it was located just above the Southwest Neighborhood.
Okay, would you be able to get me then, because I want to read what...
We didn't have any discussion whatsoever.
I remember the one that I brought signatures and feedback from, and evidence from.
That was the meeting afterwards.
Yeah,
this was one where we didn't have any discussion, but we all voted, and so as a result, there was no clarity.
The motion to defer is on the floor.
I'd just like to add something. I think that to the staff, what the council is looking for is further investigation into possible negative impacts of a store like this, so that they can get, I know you're recommending approval, but they would like to have some evidence about some possible negative impacts, some of which they've given you some ideas about. So when it comes back again, I think they're looking for the staff to place some information on the record about negative impacts of something like this.
Exactly. Motion and seconded. All in favor of the motion to defer?
Aye.
Motion carries. Deferral to the next meeting, I guess. Do we need to, Joe, would it have to be re-advertised? This will be, what can we do? Motion to extend, is it to defer? Or?
If you're deferring this, you could defer it to a date certain of the next council meeting, or defer it to another meeting time specific.
Joe, how quickly can you get the information to the council? Next council meeting?
Yes, sir. We can do this right away. What we'll do is go out to, what I intend on doing is going out to the site, looking at the number of similar uses that are within a certain perimeter of it, and then reconnecting with the police department to make sure that we have a log of all the incident reports that may be in the area. And if that's sufficient, we can do that very quickly. We'll be back next month with that information.
Okay, that's good. We'll do it to the next meeting. Motion carries. You're deferred. They'll explain everything to you, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Tab 14.
Yes, tab 14 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida.
Hang up the phone. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Tab 14 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the city code by amending Chapter 30 zoning, Article 1 definitions, to amend the definitions of a hotel and motel, and to delete the definitions apartment hotel, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date. This is second and final reading.
Joe, staff report anything?
Yes, sir, we're recommending approval. This is essentially something that clears up unconfuses a very confusing piece of the code that needs to be cleared up and speaks for itself.
Okay. Questions from council? It's kind of a housekeeping issue. Open up the public hearing this time. Any questions from the public? Close the public hearing at this time. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded.
With a question there.
Mr. Williams?
Yes. This provision of how many more hotels or suites or motels that we have coming down the pipeline that this will affect? Or is it, once we pass it, those that are in the process, will they be?
I don't know if we have any, I don't believe we have any other applications for these, for any hotels right now. But this, effectively, what we're saying here is that a hotel has the ability to have a kitchenette in it and a couple of other things. And that's allowed. There isn't, the fact that the code currently talks about apartment hotels and hotels is just confusing, because I don't believe that it prohibits necessarily one or the other.
Right.
In essence, it allows both. It only distinguishes between the two types and only lists hotel in there. So again, it clears up. It doesn't really impact anybody that's in our pipeline or come into the future, unless they're going to have something like the laundry facilities in it, which I think make it more than what a typical extended stay hotel would be. It would be unusual to.
So this change will affect any current that are already in the process. Will it affect their application?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Roth?
Yeah, just a quick mention. It's in number 2. It says allow for certain cooking facilities. Is there a definition for what they're allowed to put in these units? They're not going to put full stoves and ovens and things like that. Would there be smaller appliances like microwaves, coffee makers, things like that?
We don't get specific on that. We say certain, but yeah, the intent is something that you would see in an efficiency hotel. It may be a microwave, it may be a hot plate, something like that, but certainly not full ovens or stoves. It's not meant to be a resident. It's meant to be more of an efficiency, kind of like the typical extended stay hotel that you would see in many places in the country.
Okay. Is this what kind of held up Mr. Williams, this kind of code, and this is a house cleaning thing that's going to clean this up for future developments?
Yes, sir. This is something that we found to be extremely confusing, and we've dealt with it a couple times here in the previous years. And because it's so confusing, it's created confusion amongst our staff and the way we've dealt with applicants. So if we clear this up, we feel a lot better moving forward if we've cleared up the confusion.
This might be a silly question, but how many other codes in our book are confusing?
The whole book.
The whole book.
Lots
I
of them.
appreciate your effort to try to clean it up, is what I'm trying to say. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Mr. Williams?
Yeah, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm glad my colleague. Wait a minute. No, I have a valid statement, question here. If we're going to be clear, there's a lot of, like number 2, as he brought up, says allow for certain cooking. In the code, will it list what kind of cooking facilities that will be allowed, instead of it being, when you say certain kind, we've put another open for interpretation. So in the meat of what the ordinance is there a certain way to quantify or qualify this statement?
Yes, there is. In the code specifically, it says limited kitchen facilities, including a sink, refrigerator, microwave, cooktop, or burners, but not including an oven, may be provided in individual rooms. So it says...
I'm sorry, it's hard to hear you.
No, I apologize.
Just tell me what page it is, exhibit.
I'm looking at Exhibit 3, car 1682, page 2.
Okay.
Section 2, City Code amended in the
Gotcha.
second paragraph, the underlined portion at the last two sentences reads, limited kitchen facilities, including a sink, refrigerator, microwave, and cooktop or burners, but not including an oven, may be provided in the individual rooms. So it is limiting those, limiting the kitchen facilities to a microwave and cooktop, basically.
Okay. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I have a, I think that the front part of your language within that could be a little bit more defined, that could properly perhaps state that particular, what you have read, than to leave it open to allow for certain, certain cooking. Can we just, within the, or is this just the language in which you all took to explain it to us?
In the car, we were trying to summarize the language in the code to fit it and make it easy to understand, but the language in the code is specific by limiting the facilities to sink.
Gotcha. Thank you. Yeah, I got it. I understand now. Okay. Thank you.
Joe, what is it if it has, what is it if it has an oven?
What we're trying to not allow are kind of semi-permanent places, right, that are more than hotels. And so I think an oven or laundry facilities mean that people can almost live there indefinitely, and that's not the intent. These are maybe extended stays where you'd come in for a week or a little while, a little bit more luxury. Particularly, I think we see these in many hotels across the country, but I think that the oven gives it a little bit more permanence.
I think the questions he's asking, if somebody comes in and applies for a room like this, but it has an oven, which zoning, what is the zoning category that would come under? That's what he's asking.
Well,
what is that called?
We wouldn't allow it.
Pardon?
It wouldn't be allowed.
Would it be an apartment?
Is it an apartment? Is it efficiency? What is it? That's what he's asking.
I guess it would be a residential unit, like depending if they're renting it out, it would be classified as an apartment, so it would be in the R districts.
Okay. Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak for or against? Mr. Williams?
I'm sorry, I'm having problems with this language now. The cooktops and burners, I mean, how are we defining burners as what? I mean, do we have to have burners in there? I mean, how is burners defined?
I mean, a burner is what, something you see on your cooktop, which is that little round thing that gets hot. You put pot.
I understand. But how we define, because if cooktops are the same, then burners gives an, what I'm saying is, the burners piece is what I'm trying to frame in my mind is that are these provided in the hotel, or can people bring these in the room?
No, sir. They're. I'm assuming that the applicant's going to provide them in the hotel. They'll be built in like a kitchen.
So, do most of the hotels now, or however the extended stays, I don't think I've ever. I've seen extended stays with full stoves. So what I'm trying to make sure that the language is really defined with no open of interpretation of that. So you're saying one stovetop with a or cooktop that it has with one burner on it. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just, to me, I'm not comfortable with that last piece. Is that something that we can?
I don't know if we're saying, well, I mean, what we're saying is a cooktop with burners. So it could have one, it could have more than one.
But you have cooktop or burners. It's or. I understand.
No, but the reason that is because there's certain I happen to be an expert on cooktops. There's cooktops that don't have burners. There's those ceramic cooktops, and they don't have burners. It just have they just heat up sort of from underneath the ceramic, and those are usually electric. A burner is an individual burner, but on these ceramic cooktops, all it shows.
Okay, I don't want to get in semantics.
That's all right, that's it, that's
But
what it is.
I just have a problem with that language. I think that universally that it should be just very simple than to try and, because all that you just said is, for me, I understand what you're saying, but I just think it, in the language, it ought to be a little bit more defined. Is that something this has got to come back to us, or is this the last time?
This is the last time.
Yeah, but you could change it if you feel like there's some language that's clear, then you can move to amend it and change it. If you think cooktops is cleaner, is clearer.
I just think that if that's the intent, then I don't like the word cooktops. It's either cooktops or I don't know, but because I'm not as an expert as you, Richard, on that, I don't know, but I don't like the term or.
Can we?
It should be just consistent cooktops, whatever.
So you can make amendment to remove the words or burners.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question, Joe. This is not an urgent issue. It's not stopping anything or holding anything up.
No, sir.
Okay. Let me open up the public hearing. Okay. Mr. Williams?
Two questions, one statement, one question, sorry. We understood that our approvals that were heard earlier were dependent upon this passing, so if that's not the case, I don't have anything to say about that. But if it is, as we were always led to believe, our approvals were dependent upon this process, then we'd like to see you guys approve this tonight. So that's one thing. Second thing is, I want to thank the City of Homestead for refunding our $5,000 deposit that we paid to initiate this item. So that's my two comments. Thank you.
Okay, so it's not mission critical at this point?
No, sir.
Does anyone have a question that can clarify the cooktop burner? I don't know what the answer is. Joe?
Would it be appropriate to eliminate the word or and just put a slash? Because I think, as Richard was saying, they're almost two versions of the same thing. One's a more contemporary, modern version, the cooktop, which may be a more sleek design, and the other is an older version, which is the traditional electric burner. So they kind of mean the same thing, but what we're trying to say is that little area that you see on the countertop that gets hot and you put stuff on, and it could be a cooktop / burners.
Does that give you the flexibility in the code to move these along?
We could say and or burners, and I think that would give us the ability to get things through the system.
We want to be able to move these projects along.
Right.
So does this give you the flexibility and thus the clarity that we're not going to be up here debating burner over, cooktop at the next, hearing where somebody's looking for an extended stay?
At least I'll be unconfused by it, which is we're interpreting. So yes.
Okay.
Well, Mayor, I just think that, they're not, to me, it is the developers or whoever is building to make sure it's a cooktop and not burners, as it relates to the code. I think, for them, it will probably be, more of a, to me, I just have an issue with the word. When I think about it, I don't have the same definition that Mr. Cordino has. I just don't think that in our time, what I picture is somebody bringing it in and plugging it in and putting it on the countertop, as opposed to it's included within the framework of the extended stay. It's a fixture. It's part of the room. And so to put if he's talking about buying a burners, in lieu of cooktops, I just...
Sir, I think I understand. What if we just eliminated the word burner altogether?
I just said that.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
And that way, it's synonymous for every extended stay that we get, that it's consistent, and they don't, there's no choice. I'm not sure what the costumes would be, but I'm pretty sure they affect all of that. But I'm not comfortable with burners. For me, if we can just take out all burners and just leave cooktops, that is consistent.
Do you want to make a motion to remove that?
Yes. If it dies, it dies. But I make a motion to remove.
I'll second the motion. And what's the vote on the motion to take out burner and just leave in cooktop? Roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Councilman Burgess? Yes. Councilman Shelley? Councilman Maldonado? Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay, we're still in the public hearing. Any other comments from the public? Close the public hearing. Is there a motion on tab 14? No, we just approved the motion for the amendment, or for the...
Second.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Maldonado? Councilman Burgess? Yes. Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 15.
An ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinance by amending Chapter 28 Utilities, Article 3 Electricity, Division 2 Deposits, Rates, and Charges, Section 251, to establish a local historic landmark preservation, or LHLP, rate rider, providing for public purpose, severability, conflicts, and effective date.
Anything from staff? Joe?
No, Mayor, this is an incentive program through discounted electrical rates to encourage home and business owners to designate their qualifying properties as historical local landmarks. Staff recommends that the Mayor and Council amend Chapter 28 Utilities, Article 8 Electricity, Division 2 Deposit Rates and Charges by amending Section 28-251 to establish a local historical landmark preservation rate rider.
Questions from council? I'll open up the public hearing at this time. It's an incentive program for older historical properties initiated by Mr. Shelley. Thank you, sir. Close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move it.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Ross?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado? Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess? Yes. Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 16.
Mayor, the City of Homestead has an existing transmission service agreement with FPL for point-to-point transmission service originally executed in 1978 and amended as needed through the years. The latest concurrent amendment was executed on February 27, 2006. Changing this agreement to network service provides the electric utility greater flexibility in importing and exporting electricity across the FPL transmission grid and provides Homestead with a higher priority for use of the grid. Staff recommends that Mayor and Council authorize the City Manager to execute the service agreement for network integration transmission service and the accompanying network operating agreement with Florida Power and Light.
Questions from council? Mr. Roth?
I read this today. I read it on Saturday. I read it on Sunday. I don't understand anything about this. Can somebody put this in layman's terms for us?
Good
yes,
question.
Barbara can.
Barbara?
Certainly. We currently receive power from a number of sources outside of the city, as well as our own generation. And the paths that power travels to us, those are transmission paths. What we have in place right now on the FPL grid, we have what's called a point-to-point path, where, for example, energy comes to us from Orlando. So we have a specific path from Orlando to Homestead that electricity travels. What this agreement gives us the flexibility to do is to use a variety of paths, because if there is no room on that path on a given day, we have no other option for an alternate route to travel the electricity to us. With the network transmission agreement, we will have the flexibility to be able to use alternate routes rather than just the designated point-to-point. So it gives us more flexibility in getting that power to us. The way the billing is done, it also gives us a potential for actually a lower cost from time to time. So it gives us more flexibility in receiving power, and the price would be the same or perhaps less.
That makes sense. Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mayor. My question is that means that the contract, the agreement that we have with FPNL, we're able to use other power companies besides it. That's what you're asking for tonight, right? Is it something clear? Or that we use alternate sources or points to receive power, whether it's from FPNL or just...
We currently receive power from a number
Right, I
of different
understand, but
entities.
I'm just making reference to what you have, because it says between Florida Power and Light and Homestead, so that's the reference I'm using.
You're using FPNL's distribution system. So that's why this contract is with FPNL. So their lines and their poles are what you're transmitting the power over. All you're saying is it gives you the flexibility to move a different line route in or a different line route around. So it's a distribution question, not a purchase power question.
Correct. It's a distribution of electricity question. It's their FPL interconnects with us, and so power, even if we purchase power from Connecticut, ultimately the last leg of that path is through FPL.
Right.
And so, yes, it gives us that flexibility in that last leg of the electricity's travel to use alternate routes if the route that we typically use is too congested.
Mr. Williams, you have the floor.
I appreciate it, and you helped me out a lot, Mayor. So, in other words, even though the last leg of FPNL, the last leg of the transmission route is with FPNL, this gives us more options beyond FPNL? That's what I'm trying to get at. Or no? Or is it that we're talking about the route?
Just the route. It doesn't limit us to our options.
Where it comes from, but we're just using that particular route that's associated with FPNL because they own that, or how is that?
Yes, they own the transmission lines that the power travels over. The ones that directly interconnect with us here, our interconnection is on Lucy Street and 162 Avenue.
Right.
They own those lines, and so the power has to travel, the last leg of its journey has to come through FPL. It does not limit our options on where we can purchase it.
Okay, I got it. But could you give me some more written information? I'm following what you're saying, but I just need to read it in such terms in which you have just laid out. And then the second thing is, this does not come back to us once we've made the decision tonight. This
is the second and final reading.
This is second. Well, why is it listed as a...
I don't think
I'm sorry,
this has not been to you before. This is the first you're seeing
I
this.
misspoke.
Okay, I was going to say, I know I hadn't checked out.
My apologies.
Does this have any bearings, my final question, does it have any bearings with the potential, or further down the road, if FPNL is considered to get the increase of 23%, FPNL is asking to have adjustments for their company. Would this, what we're entering in, will we be susceptible to that 23% increase that FPNL is asking for? Would that be passed down to us at some point because of this?
If there were an increase in their transmission rate, yes, we would be impacted by that. And they file that, I believe they file it yearly with the Florida Public Service Commission.
Are you familiar with what the 23%, 24% increase, you familiar with that at all?
I know they have a rate case that, yes, they're looking to raise the rate over the next few years. I don't know the specifics as to what those increases are going to be paying for.
Okay, but will we be impacted? Or could we potentially be impacted?
We could potentially be impacted, yes, but we have to use the FPL lines to get the power to us. So
I understand. I'm just trying to ask because, we're saying on one point we lowered the cost, and because if the rate goes up, if FPNL gets their rate increase of 23, 24% that they're asking from the commission, then how would that will affect what we pass on to our customers, would it not, or no?
We have a contract in place with FPL for 10 years, and that contract includes the transmission that goes with that purchase. We had the prices with that contract, so our prices are already firmed up with FPL for the 10-year contract.
Okay, so no matter what the rating, we're locked in for the next 10 years on what we're paying for now. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, the prices are locked in. There are some escalations over time, but they're already identified. So we should not see the additional.
Would you be able to provide me those going forward? Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, yes, sir. This is a public hearing. I'll open up the public hearing at this time. Any questions?
Thank you, Council. I just have a question on the motion. When it comes to increased serve time, what kind of increases are we talking about?
Increase what times?
Increasing rates, I guess by fees, or she said there were increases.
No, you didn't say there were.
No.
You didn't say there were any increases. There's no increases on the table right now. This has nothing to do with increases. You got a 10-year contract.
With increases over time is what I
Can I
heard.
quantify what I said?
Go ahead, Mr. Williams.
What I was making a reference to was that based on the projected that FPN is asking the state commission to allow them to be able to raise their rates to up to 25% or 24 or 23%. I was simply asking, will that affect this particular item?
Okay, now I understand.
And yeah, so she was saying that we had the locked-in rates for the next 10 years, and in that 10 years, I guess, over time, they would not necessarily increase, but those things will be.
I understand now.
Within
Thank you.
that. So I just want to put that in context.
Okay. I'll close the public hearing at this time. Any final comments? Is there a roll call? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Is there a second? Second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess? Yes. Councilman Ross?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado? Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 17, Mr. Williams.
Yes, thank you so much, Mayor. Let me put everybody at ease tonight. This is not an actionary item, and what I would do is I did not get the opportunity to forward to the manager, to forward to the rest of you all. But what my intent is on this living wage ordinance, and by next council meeting, I'll have all the documentations to you so you know what the framework of my mind is as relates to this, part of the car. But I simply wanted to just raise the awareness of that such is, I think, very needed, and I think all of the positive things and that we can potentially impact is very important. And let me tell you what I'm making reference to. I think perhaps at times, and I've got data that I've asked that the staff provide as relates to what is a impact to us financially. I think that's a major concern. Number two of the aspect is service contracts that we award out to those vendors who do services for us, to make sure that they are providing a living wage for those persons that work particularly for that company. I'm really have become very integral involved with trying to figure out on the basis of poverty line, and I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've ever made minimum wage. And I think most of us up here, I'm not speaking for any individual person, but I think in our society in which we live in, it is imperative that, we provide those, kind of opportunities. And so when persons dealing with service contracts, get contracts from the city, whether, and I understand that some contracts are federal funded, which requires them to have a certain amount. And then some contracts we give that we don't really kind of require within our framework of seeing how much you're going to be paying locals or how much they're going to be paying. We don't simply ask that within the context. And we give out millions of dollars that affect our local economy, and to make sure that persons not only affected in Homestead that lives here within our boundaries, but just to be fair across the board. And I can't help but to think while we were at the county last week, most of you all were there, they kept talking about living wage. They kept talking about affordable housing. And I said, you can't possibly have affordable housing if you don't have amount to be able to afford to have that. And so I simply just raised the awareness, not for much dialogue to get into the integral parts, because I'm still getting data from staff. Number one is that I asked for is how many employees do we have that are full-time or part-time? What is the lowest, monies that we allocate? From my understanding, the average park facility attendant at the beginning of last year, I think, made $8.56 an hour. The minimum wage, I think, for the state is $8.05. And now I think they're at $9 some dollars. Since this staff can correct me. But what I'm really trying to do is not more so focusing on trying to provide an astronomical amount, but that's something that will be considered through dialogue of the council, and to borrow things that works for us here in Homestead. And I think we all want our citizens who live in Homestead, who perhaps works for these companies that get or receive contracts from the city, that they're paying a decent rate or wage for those that live within our city. And I know questions may arise, well, how can we monitor that? How can we do that? That is still out for discussion, but I just wanted to, raise the awareness. I didn't provide any data. I'm not, quoting anything or reading anything tonight, but simply just to, perhaps put in your mind of what can we do here at Homestead. And as I talk with some staff and some others who really have a lot in depth on this issue, I think it's something that we really need to look at, especially the thousands of dollars or millions of dollars that we give out to provide services for Homestead. And then of that amount, how many of those vendors actually hire people that live in Homestead? And so that data is still trying to be compiled. So I didn't want to bring a major conversation tonight, but simply just, put the awareness out there that I think we need to perhaps look at, this kind of thing. I'm not looking to change anything or try to have a direct budgetary impact, but to see exactly what we're doing at Homestead for our employees, number one, and number two, service contracts that we are giving out. How can we see if they're paying their employees, a certain amount of wage? Now, there are two factors, and I'll be done there. One is if they're providing a decent rate or wage, then are they providing, benefits that go along with that? If not, then I believe that the wage should be a little bit higher. If they are providing benefits, then of course the rate will be adjusted within that cost, because they're adding another value that they were not getting. And so I understand our system that our part-time employees can't work more than 1,560 hours within that calendar year, and anything above that they calculate in anticipation next year if they're going to have to pay those employees or pay or calculate them in for full time. So one of the questions I have or would like the staff to also in their compiling of their data for me is that, number one, how many part-time employees do we have that meets that threshold? Number two, if you all can provide for all the council, perhaps what that looks like for us in number terms of financially. And so those would be the two major issues that I'm looking for. I know that was a lot of, trying to reach back out to me today. I just could not return the calls, but that's what I'm really looking for. I could not do that without, I want to do it within the sunshine so that everybody will know exactly where I'm coming from. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, sir. Is there a motion to extend the meeting for 15 minutes so we can get through our business?
I move it, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So, any business from the city manager? Mr. Attorney? Nothing? Mr. Shelley?
Thank you, Mayor. Just two quick items. First is to remind everybody about the Eco Fair coming up here on February 20th, which is this Saturday from 12 to 4 in Losner Park. There'll be a lot of family fun events to go, so bring kids out there, learn about all the eco-friendly things that are going on. We have educational speakers, live animals, we have interactive displays, we have a mini farmers market there, we have live bands. It's a great time. You can also catch the National Parks trolley out to the national parks after you attend the Eco Fair. So I encourage everybody to come out this Saturday, February 20th from 12 to 4 p.m. in downtown Homestead at Losner Park. And then the second item is that many of you know I've been working with the parks on trying to get a water trolley up and running to kind of connect with our land-based trolley that we've had implemented for the last couple of years. And we have it up and growing. I think all of you have received invites for the 24th, which is a VIP tour for elected officials, both for the City of Homestead, County Commission, et cetera. But this water trolley is a launching between the city, Miami-Dade County, and Biscayne National Park. But you can now catch a water trolley at Biscayne National Park's headquarters and go out to Boca Chica Key in the morning or in the afternoon. There's 2 runs a day. It runs Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you go to the City of Homestead's website, www.cityofhomestead.com/gateway, you can also see what that calendar of events is. This year's kind of a soft opening. We're kind of testing the waters to see how this is all going to work out. And the next year we hope to come and launch a full schedule, full calendar, and have everyone be able to run coinciding with our National Parks trolley. Reservations aren't necessary. You can walk on, although they will, I think, take some reservations. They're still kind of working out that system as well, but you can call the bookstore there at Biscayne National Park and get more information. There is a charge. There is a fee for it. It's $29 for adults and $19 for, I think, kids. We're working on trying to find a way to maybe get a subsidy of some kind to bring that price down, because my goal has always been to get those who have never seen the park and never been on the water the opportunity to get to the water. And although this is cheaper than it's ever been in the past, it's still more expensive than I'd like it to be. So we're working on that for next year as well.
Awesome job. Awesome job. I mean, right now, trolley's working like a champ, but people can literally walk up to the dock, look at the water, and then get back on the trolley and go back to wherever. So this gives them the opportunity to take the trolley, get on your water trolley, and at least see the bay from a different perspective. Go to the islands.
Correct. And I think it's actually called, they've named it the Island Boat Tours is the actual official name versus water trolley. I just call it because that's how when we developed it, we came up with the concepts. But there's Island Boat Tours through Biscayne National Park. But yeah, now you can actually see the wildlife, get on the water. And if you've never been to Boca Chica Key, it's a beautiful view of downtown Miami from there. So I encourage all of you to take the VIP tour on the 24th if you're capable of doing so. It should be a fun time.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Maldonado.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mayor, can I comment on what I think that's Mr. Shelley, incredible. And I'm glad you mentioned trying to find some way of lowering the cost. Even though you said it's been the lower, that's still quite a bit. So I don't know what ideas you propose to bring back in order to do that, but that will be wonderful for even culturally to be able to take in all of that. So hopefully you'll bring back some kind of idea of how we.
Yeah, and I can real quickly. I know we're kind of running late
I
here,
know.
but just to touch base since you asked the question. One of the concepts was reaching out to the state legislator because there are monies for tourist dollars and trailways and greenways and things of that nature. And so the idea was that the city would be the fiscal agent for the dollars. We'd receive them, and then those persons who rode our national parks trolley from downtown Homestead to the park, we would then be able to subsidize with those dollars, which would encourage them to flow through our downtown, which is a benefit to the city of Homestead, makes them all go to and from the park from our downtown area. So that's the concept that we're working on. We didn't quite make it early enough to the budget process this year, but it's something that with the support of the council, maybe we could try next year and find a way to make it much more affordable for all our residents to go.
I think that's very, very good. It adds to the quality of life here in the Homestead and what we strive to do. So that's very good. Thank you, Councilman.
Mr. Maldonado?
Thank you, Mayor. And Councilman Shelley, good job on that. I remember we took that trip, I think it was sometime last year, and we were discussing the concepts and ideas. So glad to see it coming to fruition. And so I'm signed up to be there on the 24th. So we'll be riding there again with you. Good job. I just want to kind of give an update. A few of us were able to go up to Tallahassee to attend Miami-Dade Days with the Miami-Dade League of Cities, as we met with representatives from our legislative representatives that cover the area of Homestead and throughout Miami. And so it was a great success, and I just want to applaud my colleagues that were able to attend. I know everyone wasn't able to go, but nonetheless know that we who did go made sure that we met with all of our leaders up in Tallahassee and working to make sure that we're bringing those dollars down to Homestead. The dollars are limited, but, you know, it's always good that we go up there, show face, and let them know, and let them hear from us the importance of, you know, we go up there and we share the stories of what's happening here and how important it is that what they do, what decisions they make, how it impacts Homestead. So we tend to take the voice of the city, of our citizens, and make sure we just echo that up in Tallahassee. And so I was up there with the Florida League of Cities as well. So 2 weeks up there. It was a good event. So that's it for me.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And let me say that my last couple of months for the newly elected officials pension conference that I attended, I'm in the process now becoming a certified pension trustee through their program. Let me tell you, it's a 2-day crash course, and then you have to take a test and pass to even, and there are 3 levels: basic, immediate, and advanced. And I think I skated by the chin of my teeth to get out of the basic. But I tell you, I think we may have maybe 3 or 4 that are certified within our process. And I tell you, it reminded me about my college days and high school days of studying. And I don't think I've ever had to study that hard for a 100 question test like that one. But it's an honor to serve on those kind of committees. And then also last month, I believe that we had some discussion about the soup kitchen and some of the reservations that I had as relate to some of the funding to the soup kitchen. I think that we were looking at giving them $20,000, and I don't know, perhaps we can bring that back for more discussion. I've met with the new executive director for the soup kitchen. I'm very confident in his leadership ability. As a matter of fact, he spoke tonight in high regard of our chief in the police department. And so I'd be willing to see if you all can bring that back with a more definitive approach now that I've had conversation with him and the directions in which they're trying to go in. So hopefully, Mr. Carlos, that you'll be able to, if my colleagues agree, perhaps we can have that discussion again.
And that is correct. They are interested in the additional funding, and we do plan on bringing that back to you. And we do have a report as some of the information that you had asked for that should be ready for you, if not the end of this week, by next week.
All right, thank you. The second thing is, I know one of my colleagues last talked about our monument signs. When, particularly the one that is on US 1 coming right in from Florida City. My concern is the shrubbery that we have there covers the entire sign, and until you don't know you're in Homestead until you ride by, and then you just happen, and then the light that's in front, Mr. Maytan, it kind of covers it. When we looked at it, I think that had something to do with Julio too. I remember the elevation of such, so that it's a little bit more beyond the. I don't know if you all know what I'm talking about, but it's really hidden. You have to really see it. Is there any way possible to elevate that sign a little bit higher than what it is? Because the landscaping in the median is very nice, but it hides the entire sign almost.
Councilman Williams, I agree with you. Probably to elevate it, no, but what we could probably look into is maybe changing the landscaping there, because I know it's not that much there. Maybe we can just remove that and then put it somewhere else. And then, so we can see the sign from there. I can do that, look at that first thing in the morning.
Oh, okay. The third thing I have, thank you. Third thing I have is got your communication as relates to keeping up the railroad, the abutting property or the alleyways in the city. You brought back a price tag of about $26,000 just for the alleyways, and I pushed you for more information of how many alleyways, how long are the railroad tracks, and I think you brought back a price of $16,000 just for the upkeep of that.
Yes, sir.
My question is, what has it? Is all of those the alleyways? Most alleyways we have are really on the west side of the highway. How much is that? I mean, what funding are you looking at to propose that to us? Because what I'm concerned about is, number one, I think it needs to be done. But what it would do, it would provide some parity for all the alleyways, and that it's clear and that it's free of debris and all of that. Number one, for safety reasons, for emergencies, for our police department. However, but there is some kind of consistency in that. What is the anticipated funding in order to cover that? Because that's quite a bit, but I think.
To answer your question, Councilman Williams, what I did is I sat in my office for about 5 hours and Google mapped the whole city of Homestead alleyways, because I didn't know everyone we had. So I also attached the listing to you, which was almost 2 pages long.
Right.
The railroad tracks are 2 miles from Lucy Street to almost southwest 296th Street, which is Avocado. The railroad track was going to cost $26,000 to maintain a year, and the alleyways, I think there was over 40, almost 50 alleyways, and that was going to cost the city $16,000. So your price would have been around 30-something thousand. Where I was going to fund it from, it was more or less asked to see what it would cost us. We really didn't look at a funding source, sir.
And what I'm interested is in that, the railroad companies are just so lax in what they, it's really like a war trying to get them to be responsible for their stuff. But at what cost to us and some of the citizens who live along those tracks? I mean, number one is safety concern, because they let it grow so far that you don't know if somebody's hiding out back there. It just presents a whole list of issues for me, just safety wise. And then the same thing with the alleyways. I think those are safety issues for me. And so I hope that when you come back with something that you provide some list of of funding of your sources of where your ideas at, hopefully if the council agrees with that.
And also the monies, also to give you a heads up of what it contains, is that it's same as our landscaping contract. It's going to be done 29 cuts a year, tree trimming and spraying. So that's what consists of all that money. So that means that's the tree trimming, that's, you know, mowing it and killing weeds and everything. So just to let you know, that's what it contains within prices. So I want to give you a heads up.
Okay, all right. And then one more last thing. I know I probably took up the whole 15 minutes, Mayor, but one other thing. With that, are you all going out to a RFP on that which you have just mentioned about the landscaping?
Councilman Williams, to answer that, to let you know, we're going to be bringing that to the council. What we're working with right now is procurement for the criteria on the ranking for the RFP that was asked by the council.
Okay, all right. So when would that process? Because my issue is that I've had multiple issues of what they do in the Southwest on mainly 4th Street. I'm not alienating one company, but
yes, sir.
Please, in your scope of work, that you really emphasize the importance of weed killing and you know, really cleaning those beds, and really, you know, if those plants die, the replacement of those. I know it's a lot, but I think for the money that we have invested in on 4th Street, to look at some of the stuff coming in from 6 down, it's a beautiful place. And then prior to getting there, it just looks like a different world. So if please, in your scope of services, you really emphasize that particular, you know, corridor. That's, you know, I'm passionate about the entire city, but that really bugs the hell out of me because I just don't like the upkeep of that. So we can really zone in on that when you all do your scope of service. Be really specific about that, please.
Yes, sir, I will do that for you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Is there a motion to extend the meeting for 15 more minutes?
Yes, Mayor, move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Up to 15 more minutes. One no. Mr. Roth. Oh, are you serious? No? Up to 15. Okay, we are ready.
You're up next.
We're going to close this down.
We're almost done.
Okay.
Just real quick.
It's unanimous. It was unanimous. John switched his vote. Mr. Roth.
Thank you. Met with Homestead Hospital this week, and they've donated to the city of Homestead, and I wanted to send them a shout out and thank you. $5,000, and it's earmarked for 4 specific projects that they wanted to contribute to. One is the grand opening of the new city hall. The other is the 4th of July, the State of the City address, and a gun buyback program that's in the process of being planned. I was also going to mention the Eco Fair, this Saturday, 12 to 4 at Losner Park. There was some good news for our agricultural friends out there. The Oriental fly quarantine has ended, which means all the roadside fruit stands can reopen and sell fruit, and they can start shipping fruit out of the area again. The chili cook-off is coming up in 2 weeks, the final Saturday of this month. We've added an equestrian aspect to it. We're going to have English Western riding. We're going to have barrel racing. We have the outhouse races as usual. I know John is a captain of one of the outhouse teams and making a chili, and so that'll be a good event for this year. This is the first time we're bringing in the equestrian aspect of it. It's going to be a much longer event. It's going to be Saturday, February 27th from 8:30. The horse show starts, and the barrel racing will take place sometime between 12 and 4. So it's a long event. It's $10 per person to get in. You can contact the South Bay Chamber of Commerce for more information about that. And the last thing I had on here was about the lighted soccer fields. If John wasn't going to bring it up, I know that Dennis sent us some estimates on making those changes to the fields. I don't know if everybody got a chance to look at it, but I'm with John on this. And after seeing the AYSO soccer guys here, and we had a state champion and 2 third-place finishers there. They can't practice at night in our city, and to bring back a championship is amazing. And I think that we should look at that further and move forward. If John hasn't brought that up, then maybe we can share that with us, Dennis, the estimates and everything that you explored. And thank you very much for getting that back to us as quickly as you did, because I think it was only a couple of days after we requested it. And I want to thank Rick also and staff for getting me the invoice for Homestead Hospital as quickly as you guys did. They put me under the gun to get it to them within a few hours. You guys did it. Thank you very much. They gave us $5,000. So with that, I'll close.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. Is anybody taking Mr. Brea's spot tonight, or can somebody, nobody there? Okay. I had spoken to him. There's a young man that approached me a while back that rides the trolley every day. That's his only means of transportation to and from work and wherever he goes in the city. And evidently, we added a bunch of stops recently. And those stops added 45 minutes each way to his day. And he said that the majority of those stops that he got on, and that the trolley stopped at, nobody got on and off of them. So he was wondering if we could take a look, possibly do some kind of count, maybe eliminate some of the new ones that aren't being used, and that. And I had talked to, he goes east-west, and I talked to Mr. Bray about it, so I was just wondering if he had gotten anywhere on it. Maybe we could follow up on that, because that's how this poor young man and other people that ride with him that came up to me that day get to and from work every single day. And now they're having to leave their homes. They're an extra hour and a half, and they're only 3 miles away. It makes no sense for that time frame to be put in to these stops that aren't being used. So I think we need to go back and look at what's being used and what's not being used and make it more efficient for those people that are relying upon it and those people that do ride it. I know Mr. Shelley's been given a charter review, and I brought it up before, and I know that he's got a great workload on him, but I think this is the opportunity is there for us to start it now, sooner than later, so that we can use this November's election to put the questions out there for free for the city of Homestead. So I would encourage my colleague to please get that board going as soon as possible, because it is a lengthy process, and it takes time to educate the people and to come up with the ideas of what we're looking for. So I would encourage you again to please start as soon as possible on that. And as we all know, there's things that need to be looked at in the charter, and I think this is an opportunity for us to get it going and have a free or a minimal cost election for us to be used. And last but not least, next Friday, the 26th, is their annual Rotary Dinner fundraiser for them, and I believe it's at Harris Field. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Shelley. And it starts at, 5:30, I believe, or 6 o'clock, and goes on. So if anybody's interested in that, it's a great opportunity to support them, who turn around and support scholarships and what other necessary items they can find in the community to support. So with that, Mayor, thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, let me just say, I spoke with the attorney about the charter. The question, you need another?
I got one
Yes,
more quick thing. Just to go back to the soccer fields that Mr. Roth had brought up, I saw the numbers. The numbers are a little high, so I've been trying to reach out to a local vendor who's got heavy equipment and all to see if they possibly would help with the process to bring down the numbers for the city. And that, so it's not been a forgotten thing. I'm just trying to reduce the cost for us, and maybe by reducing the cost of bringing the fields up to par, we can do something else with that money to help the fields in the long run. So that's where I'm at with that. Thank you.
And to the charter review, and then I'll yield to to Steve on this, or Councilman Shelley. But I talked to the attorney about this, and we're not required this year to do a full-fledged charter review. It's not required. So there are options that we have as a council. We can each and individually submit a question to the clerk, and the clerk can then compile those, and then we can deal with them on a one-on-one basis to find out if this is what we want to, as a council, send forward to the voter for approval or denial. Or we can structure a long drawn-out front page to back page, which we're not required to do. So, from the point of view when is it required to do a full? It's every 5 years, right? It can be. I think it's it has to be done every 5 years.
Every 5. Yeah, we have it.
Let me see what Richard says, because we had this conversation. So the question would be, do we want to spend 6 months with a charter review committee to have questions proposed to the city council that at the end of that whole process get totally rejected? Because it's been done that way before. Or do we as a body want to decide, okay, what is it specifically that you individually see as a question that may be pertaining to the charter that you would like to see us debate and discuss, and see if that is something that we wanted to take to the electorate to see what they would support. So that's really the scope. So, Richard, when is it?
Okay. Every 5th year after December 2007, so that's December 2012 and then 2017. That's when you have a required. Yeah, no, but it was basically.
You're saying it has to be every 5 years?
Has to be it's starting December 2007. So that would be December 2012 and now 2017.
So again, it's a question of, it's not driven by the charter that we have to address this.
You can do whatever you'd like.
But at the end of the day, it's the question of this body is how they want to approach it. Because the fear would be, or the concern would be, that we spend months and months trying to go through this charter front to back, and at the end of the day, the council only has 1 or 2 questions that they want answered. And so that's how I was going to propose it to the body, was to say, look, do we want to go through this huge exercise and waste time, or do you specifically have a question on an individual subject that, because we deal in the charter, the confines of the charter, more so than any of the public does. So we know where the potential pitfalls are, and then it's up to us to have to make that decision to send it back with whatever recommendations we see correct or incorrect. Mr. Williams, and then I'm going to give it to Mr. Shelley.
I know he was in queue before me before I pressed my. Okay, I'll just yield to Mr. Shelley, Mayor.
Mr. Shelley?
Yeah, no, I wanted just to say that whichever direction I've given, I stand ready to work. I just don't have a committee to work with at this stage. So once a committee is appointed, or whatever direction council gives to me and how they want to address this. However, now that the city attorney has stated the dates, so my understanding is that the next year, we're going to, even if we have one this year, we have to have one next year, right? Even if.
December 2017.
Right, so starting next year. Okay.
And to that point, that was why the discussion was to, if we wanted to look at a specific question anyone has in the charter, we could submit that and say, I want to talk about, or I want to ask a question about the color of the street. Whatever it is in the charter we want to talk about. Bring it to this body, then we can individually decide, let's ask the public that, or we can say, the council as a body says, no, that's not what we want to talk about, because in 17, we're going to be required to do a full-fledged front-to-back review of the charter, and it seems kind of a duplicative kind of a process right now, when maybe we just do it this way. Mr. Williams?
Yeah, my only concern, and I know that's probably, and that's the charter you're reading. See, that needs to be cleared up too. That may be a good charter, because we're in an off-election year in 2017. We've always been talking about the voter turnout. And when we are making changes to such an important, living, breathing document such as our charter, on an off-election year, what I mean by that is a presidential election, if we really want to be inclusive of getting voter turnout for important issues, I think, even though we may have to do a full one next year, but, we're always talking about, and then I know we're going to be criticized for public involvement in the process. And I think, Mayor, if we do it as a 7-person body here to decide what we may have as an individual, issues that affect the charter, I don't want to put us in a position to, to have not had the public be a part of the process, but you're not doing it for that purpose. But I'm looking down the road as to how we will be kind of criticized in doing such a thing, especially after the thing that we've had earlier this last year. And so I'm just cautious. Number one, the voter turnout. which we know is a municipal turnout in 2017, but then we may have greater participation this year with those kind of issues. So even in that charter, if we decide that was one of the questions to turn charter review into add on to a presidential election year where you have more turnout involvement, could that be one of the things, Mayor, that you're alluding to?
The suggestion is that anything in the charter.
I'm agreeing with you.
Anything in the charter that you as an individual council person or this body as a body has a question to, we should be, I was hoping that what we could do is collectively decide, first of all, do we have the issues? Because I've seen us go, in the past, we've gone through months and months of public debate and discussion just to take it to the council and it gets voted down. They say, no, we don't want to send it to the voter. So in order to avoid that question and that process and put Mr. Shelley through this process just for us to say, we don't want to talk about that.
Give us
the opportunity to say first and foremost to ourselves.
I'm with you.
This is what we'd like to talk about. And then if we pass that and we send that to the voters this time and we wait till next year, it's really, I'm just trying to help us get to the point where we're not wasting a lot of staff time and a lot of time for nothing. But why don't you all individually speak your preference to the clerk as to how you would like to approach it? Because, and then, like you said, it's my responsibility as a mayor to establish a committee.
Yeah, but I guess what I'd like to say is that because if I'm given this task, I want to do this task as best I can. And I agree with Councilman Williams that, I think that if we do the normal process, I want it to have plenty of time to run its course. I want there to be public input. And I still believe that even if the council members if the body decides that they just want to all choose items that they want to have addressed, then I don't know what my role would be in that case, but I would envision that if I'm still getting responsibility of this, then I would work with staff to vet some of those, to make the questions, to get the information, get it back to you guys. And I still think there should be some public workshops on those questions before it comes back to us for votes. So I'll work in whichever way I'm directed, but I would, if it is going to be this year, the sooner I can get direction, the better process will be, because I don't want to have a situation where this is thrown on my lap, a month before it's supposed to make the voter rolls and then try to get something worked out. So I think that we either need to start early and have that discussion now and give me the direction that I need so I can run this thing properly, or it needs to be delayed. And I'm okay with either one, but I do think that I would like to have more of a full discussion on this versus say just give stuff to the clerk and then have it come, that would be my only request as the chair. Or as a person that's kind of tasked with this, is I would rather have this to be a cow item where we actually have a full discussion, everyone has a chance to think about it, and then we come back and say as a body, this is how we want the process to go, and then I'll work it if I'm involved, or maybe it doesn't need me, and maybe it just goes through its own course.
Well, and I agree, and the suggestion would not be to bypass the public altogether, but to narrow it down to 5 or 6 questions, if that's the case. Maybe it's 12 questions, maybe it's 20 questions. Take those 12 questions back to this body that gets created to say, look, what would you think as Joe citizen about this question? And in that way, you would have that public dialogue, and you could have those public meetings, but it wouldn't be starting at page 1 and ending up on page 5,000. And just to simplify that, so we can, I think we should have this discussion as quickly as possible, and I don't have any problem, establishing a committee to give to you. You guys will have to obviously approve it, and we'll go through this process. But in the spirit of all of the things that we're doing as a community, and all the tasks that we've got on the table as our staff, maybe we'll just narrow this down to something. That's all I'm suggesting.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I would like to have maybe versus. If we make the decision tonight, that's fine too. Or but I would like to have a full discussion so that I get clear direction from you guys as my colleagues, what you expect this process to look like, and what questions or what information you want brought to you, so that I can do my job as that chair. So that's the only request that I have.
Okay, so Madam Clerk, whoever, we want to have a cow. If you guys want to have a special discussion about this, we can set up a special discussion. I think we could probably do this in 20, 30 minutes at a cow and get a census. Mr. Williams?
Mayor, do we have any upcoming things prior to the next cow? Do we have a special?
2 executive sessions scheduled for the next cow.
Oh, it's on the same day as the cow? Oh, okay. Mayor, just procedural question. How is the committee made up of? How many members is it? Is it 5? And then
It can be pretty much whatever I ask of you and you approve. So we can put a 7-man committee, each person has an appointee.
Okay.
We could do
I just asked.
Just to avoid confusion, if it's the charter mandated charter review, which happens in 2017, that is 5 people. If it's the one that you're doing sort of ad hoc, it's not required, then you have discretion to appoint any committee that you'd like, any number of committee members.
Okay, need a motion to approve for 10 more minutes?
Move it.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we're going to do a CAL. We're going to have this discussion. It's not mandated. There's no size commitment. We're unlimited as to the flexibility we can make out of this process.
And one more. What's the time process, Richard? We have to get it to the elections department. What time frame are we working in? Will be my next.
We'd have to have the clerk check with the supervisor of elections, but assuming you want it on an election, I'm sure that they want it 60 or 90 days in advance.
And that can be part of what we have, the discussion in the CAL, all the time frames.
Maybe Elizabeth could check those times with the supervisor of elections.
But that'll help with my decision making.
Okay. Where are we? Is everybody finished?
Yes, sir.
It's my turn?
You're
Okay.
it.
Now, we checked on the charter, because there was no change in the position of mayor, we don't have to redo all the committees, we just have to advertise the vacancies that are in the committee, so that is what this list is here, requesting the ability for the clerk to advertise those positions. Mr. Mayor?
Can I say something about this?
Certainly.
Speaking for the committee in which you appointed me as liaison, I'm simply asking that we advertise for all 7 slots in its framework, and that we don't just, I have 2 vacancies, but there is some adjustment, I think, some new spirited, fresh minds within the community that I believe deserves to perhaps serve on the committee. And so it was my understanding within the code that at the term of the mayor's position, that every board is kind of reset, but you're interpreting it as if because there was no change in the makeup. But I'm saying as the office, not as a person, but as the office of mayor, that every board resets to have fresh or a new appointee. I mean, and everybody's still, the current members on the board are still able to apply, but it's my understanding that it was a reset based on the position of the mayor and not the individual.
And that's what we checked, and
could we
correct me if I'm wrong, but
parliamentarian then too.
I know the clerk and I had this discussion, and this is what we came up with. But again, as the chairman of the committee, if the request of you as the chair would be to do a full reset, I would have no problem with that. I don't know why we couldn't do that.
Okay, I just wanted your ruling on that, because I think for that particular board, the community has changed, and I think.
And you're talking Southwest Advisory.
Yes,
right?
sir.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So if you don't mind, that maybe the attorney could give me a reading on their interpretation.
I'd have to think about it, but what the code says is board members shall serve a 2-year term or until the appointing mayor leaves office, whichever's first.
He left office and got reelected.
No, I'm reading it just the way it is.
I'm just asking, what is the interpretation of that?
I don't have, at the moment, I think it'd be up to the council. I think
this is like cooktops and burners.
No, because I'm an expert on cooktops and burners. I'm not an expert on
All right, I'm just joking. Go ahead.
But I think that what it says is until the appointing mayor leaves office. So I think it could be interpreted either way, frankly, which is that you get reelected, you're starting a new office. It could be interpreted that way. Or the mayor was in office and stayed in office. And I think that, honestly, I think either interpretation would be okay.
Okay, but as a request of the chairman of the committee, requesting the
You certainly have
advertisement.
the ability to.
He's requesting the advertisement of the entire committee.
Right.
And so we just changed the two to the entire committee and advertise the whole committee.
Okay,
And we'll
thank
leave
you.
everything else the same unless some other chair wants to do something different. But in the meantime, we can get it advertised out to get some of these things started. But on the Southwest Advisory, advertise for the entire committee as per the chairman's request. Okay? And I want to finally say that I want to thank all of the council members because, the trip to Tallahassee, going downtown to stand in front of the county commission committee meeting, I want to say that the presence, we can't always all go, but I think we always do a good job of having someone go. And that's the key to the success that we're having, to go downtown in front of the committee and have unanimous. Now, we still got one hurdle left. We all know that, but we got to show great gratitude to Commissioner Cobb and her staff for identifying an opportunity for us to be able to get in line for $1.5 million grant for our downtown. That's a huge hit for us, and to come out of that committee. And it was really, I think, because I think Richard, obviously, I have to say to you and your team for showing up, and the manager's doing a great job. But the electeds being there is significant impact for the success of what we do. So kudos to all of you for what you do individually and what you do collectively. And with that, I want to say thank you again. And is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes, ma'am, move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.